Longoria and Mr. Atkinson are not here?
No, sir.
And the mayor's not here either?
No, sir. He will not be attending.
Then if we can call the meeting to order, I believe we have 4 commissioners.
Okay. Notice of public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene to conduct post-election business, a workshop and regular meeting on Tuesday, June 16, 2009 at 4:30 p.m., 5 p.m., and 6 p.m. in the Commission chambers on the 2nd floor of the Brownsville City Hall Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas.
At this time, if we can rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state,
and state indivisible.
And indivisible. Amen. Now, I believe we have, other than our homework to learn the Texas Pledge, I believe we have Pastor Brad here, if he can come up and give the invocation.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for our city, Brownsville. We thank you for our form of government here in the United States. Lord, we thank you for the process that has just happened, and we thank you for the new commissioners that have been elected. Lord God, we ask you to bless and anoint each of them to do the work for the city of Brownsville in a way that will be good for the city and that will bless your heart as well. Bring each of them closer to you, and let this process be one that will be good for the entire city. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Still, if we can canvass the votes.
Okay, let me read that into the record. Item number 1, consideration and action on resolution number 2009-042, canvassing and declaring the results of general municipal runoff election held on June the 6th, 2009, for the purpose of electing an at-large Commissioner B and a District Commissioner 3. I'm trying to get the results on the screen. Okay. The resolution regarding our runoff election held on June the 6th declares that Rose Gowan is hereby declared to be elected as Commissioner at Large B with 2,543 votes versus candidate Carlos Ayala, who received 2,067. Melissa A. Zamora is hereby declared to be elected as Commissioner District 3 with 1,366 votes versus the opposing candidate, Carlos A. Cisneros, 1,003. We would need a vote on that.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And if we can move to the swearing in.
Can I make a few comments right before that, please?
Sure.
I want to say thank you to everybody that took part in my campaign, everybody that supported me. I thank you. For those of you that voted and didn't vote for me, thank you as well for participating in the democratic process and voting. I'd like to congratulate Ms. Melissa Zamora. I've congratulated her before. Congratulations on a successful campaign. I wish you nothing but the best, Melissa. I know that you'll come up here and do a good job. And just remember to please be responsive to the people of Brownsville. That's what it's about, and their issues. I leave here having served in the capacity of commissioner for 7 years, and I'm proud of all the work that we've done. I want to thank everybody, all the city employees, the city staff, all the directors, and Mr. Charlie Kabler, and everybody at the city secretary's office for all the hard work that they've done throughout the years. And I want to thank past commissioners that I've served with, past mayors, and our present commission and our present mayor. Thank you for everything that you guys do for this community and the continued service to the citizens of Brownsville. As I leave here today, I leave very excited about what the future holds for me. There's a couple of options and a couple of things that I'm looking at for the future. And I've always understood that everything happens for a reason and that God has bigger and better plans for each and every one of us. So I leave very confident in that. So I stand proud by my record. I stand proud for what I've done. And really, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be around. If anybody needs me, I still will continue to serve on a couple of boards throughout the city and a couple of volunteer boards that I serve on in this community. And that's my nature. I did it prior to being commissioner. I did it as a commissioner, and I'll do it after commissioner. So if anybody needs me, I'm still around. I'm still available. If I can help you out in any way, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to serve this community, and I'll continue to do that proudly. So, but I'll probably be calling you guys to help people out. But thank you very much, everybody. I want to thank you for your service, and it's a great day for the city of Brownsville, and we continue moving forward. So congratulations, and congratulations to Dr. Gowen as well on a successful campaign, and wish you guys both, I wish you both, the newly elected commissioners, nothing but the best of luck and success. Thank you.
Somebody else want to say something?
Commissioner Garza?
Okay.
Commissioner Garza, did you want to say something?
I would like to wait until the new commissioners take their seats, and then I would like to say a few words, if it's okay with everyone.
Okay. Item 1.
Okay,
We've already done that, Mayor. Actually,
we're at item 2.
We're at item 2, and
Item 2.
we'll yield the floor to you.
Item 2, consideration and action regarding the administration of the oath of office, issuance of statement of appointment, and assumption of duties of Commissioner District 3 and Commissioner at Large B. If the candidates
We'll do Commissioner
come up, please.
District 3.
Bring your family with you.
The judges and their families, they want to come up here to join the commissioner-elect. Okay, we'll go with Commissioner District 3 first. The oath of
Whichever
office.
Commissioner wants to start.
Melissa.
I, Melissa Zamora, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of District 3 Commissioner of the City of Brownsville, Cameron County, of the State of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. I, Melissa Zamora, do solemnly affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, promised to pay, contributed,
or promised to contribute any money
or promised to contribute any money
or thing of value,
or thing of value,
or promised any public office or employment
or promised any public office or employment
for the giving or withholding of a vote
for the giving or withholding of a vote
at the election at which I was elected,
at the election at which I was elected,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Dr. Gowan?
Okay, Commissioner, would you take your seat, please? Unless you want to take some pictures or something, whatever you want to do. This is your moment. You're welcome to say a few words here or wherever you want. You want to take the podium so the mic... Mayor, put it right.
I just want to say thank you. I'm very grateful and very humbled to be in the position that I am now, and I will do my utmost best to serve you in the best capacity that I can. Thank you very much to my family for their steadfast support. Efrain, Cecily, Sammy, my parents, Sammy and Janie, my campaign manager, Vito Cardenas, my strongest supporters, my friends, which I do consider my family here in Brownsville, Lupita, Melinda, Sal, Rosendo. Thank you to the Brownsville Union Coalition for their support as well. And if I'm forgetting anyone, I apologize. But I am very grateful, and I'm very excited to be here today. And I also want to thank some people who are watching at home who could not be here today. And I promise you that I would do my best to serve you in this role. Thank you.
Dr. Gowan, at large, would you please, Judge, administer the oath?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, for those of you who do not know, Rosemary happens to be my wife's cousin, and she also gave me the great privilege of delivering these two fine children for a debt which I can never repay. So in some small way, it gives me great pleasure and honor to deliver you to public service today. So please repeat after me. I, Rosemary Gowan, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of City Commissioner for the City of Brownsville, Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. Congratulations.
Solemnly affirm that I have not directly
or indirectly paid,
or indirectly paid,
offered, promised to pay,
offered, promised promised to pay,
contributed or promised to contribute
contributed or promised to contribute
any money or thing of value,
any money or thing of value,
or promised any public office or employment
or promised any public office or employment
for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election
for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election
at which I was elected.
at which I was elected,
So help me God.
so help me God. I'd like to thank everyone here, but I'd like to start first with my family, without whom I wouldn't be here. Thank you very much. Promised I wouldn't cry, but oh well. Next, I'd like to thank the team that had faith in me and held my hand and took a really wonderful, fun journey with me for the last few weeks. And finally, last but not least, all of the people that voted for me. I won't let you down. I will do everything that I can to help these other folks move Brownsville forward. Thank you very much.
I thought it only fitting to not only welcome our new commissioners, but also to thank our outgoing commissioners. So I had the city secretary draft a proclamation for each one for their service. We're going to do this out of order, but I think it's in the proper order by doing it right now as the new commissioners come in. Based on that, City Secretary, would you read the proclamation for Commissioner Carlos Cisneros and Leo Garza? Pardon me? Okay, I understood they would be ready by today. Okay, I apologize, former commissioners. We'll do it next meeting. This is our way to express our gratitude for your service. People don't have to agree with what you did, or they do agree with what you did. The thing is, you served your city, and that takes time, energy, and I think it's only fitting to thank you on behalf of the city for your service. So we'll do it next meeting. What do we got? We're going to present you anyway with a picture here as you leave to remember us by here. Leo Garza, Commissioner, former Commissioner. Wish you well. It takes a lot to run, just to run, whether you make it or not, and it takes special people to do that. And I applaud and I'm grateful for those who get involved, and those who do have the opportunity to serve. We're grateful that they gave of their time, and based on that, thank you, Commissioner Cisneros and Commissioner Garza, for your service. Please be seated. Now we have a workshop. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mayor, City Commissioners, citizens of Brownsville. I can do this better over here. As I end my term as your City Commissioner, I want to take this time to thank each of you for your support. I want to thank all the hardworking men and women of the City of Brownsville that helped me accomplish my different tasks as City Commissioner at large. I apologize, I'm a little bit nervous, sad, but happy on the other hand for the new commissioners. It has been a pleasure and an honor to serve you. I can truly say that my proudest moment, other than the marriage to my beloved wife and birth of my children, has been being a city commissioner for the city of Brownsville. My greatest pleasure was working with this great commission on different projects that have greatly impacted our city and residents. Airport dual customs, Mexico customs coming to Brownsville. It's going to be a reality. They were here once in 1946 and 47, and we're going to bring them back. City sports complex, increase of impact fees, paving of streets and retention ponds. The East Loop project, very, very important project. The downtown project, Riverwalk project, very important. And also served on the city audit committee, very, very important. I want to thank City Manager Charlie Kabler and your staff for your courtesies and professionalism extended to me as a city commissioner. I wish to thank all of the public safety employees that are out there every day, putting their lives on the line for all of us in Brownsville. Thank you, police officers, firemen, thank you. I want to thank all of the different city departments that work hard to keep our streets clean and in shape, and that also work tirelessly during emergency crisis. And believe me, you folks work very hard. I know, I was there. I want to thank all of our very important boards and commissions, or committees rather. You are true heroes. We as a city commission are truly grateful and proud of your service to our beautiful city of Brownsville. I want to thank all of my fellow commissioners. It was a great experience working with all of you. May you continue to work towards the greater good of all Brownsville and to improve the quality of life for all of us. To Commissioners Dr. Rose Gowan and Melissa Zamora, congratulations on becoming Brownsville's newest city commissioners. I challenge to take your seat as our city commissioners and to keep the faith of the people of Brownsville as your high priority. That you stay in touch with all of the people and that you work hard to keep your promises that you made to the people. This is about the people. To the mayor and all city commissioners, it is imperative that you strive to work as a team. I humbly ask you to continue to do what is right and in the best interest of the citizens of Brownsville. God bless all of you, Godspeed, and God bless the people of Brownsville. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garza. Good luck. This is the People's Chambers, and we're here to do the people's business. Next item on the agenda is a workshop.
Workshop.
Would you please read it?
Workshop item A, presentation by various law firms regarding their proposals submitted to the city for delinquent ad valorem tax collections.
Okay.
Honorable Mayor,
If y'all
members,
could put your phone on vibrate or turn it off, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
Honorable
Please go
Mayor,
ahead.
members of the City Commission, I have a small presentation regarding the proposals that were submitted for delinquent property tax collections. I'm going to give you a brief history of how we started. The Cameron Appraisal District was created in October of 1982. The district task was to assess all the property within the county. With the creation of this district, the city's tax assessor collector's office task of assessing property was eliminated, as a result resulted in savings to the city. because at one time the city of Brownsville had their own tax assessor collector, and we would assess properties. But with the creation of the appraisal district, that task was eliminated by us. On October 1988, through an interlocal agreement between the city and Cameron County, the Cameron County Tax Assessor Collector's Office began collecting all of the current and delinquent property taxes for the city. The interlocal agreement authorized Cameron County to contract the employment of an attorney to enforce the collection of delinquent property taxes in accordance with Section 630 of Texas Property Tax Code. The interlocal agreement stated that said attorneys shall have full authority to represent the city within the terms of the contract. Because of the interlocal agreement, the city's tax assessor collector's office was eliminated way back then. It was estimated that this action during that time resulted in savings of approximately $160,000 to the city at the beginning of fiscal year 1989. For many years, Cameron County has awarded a contract to a law firm to collect delinquent property taxes. The latest contract was awarded in June 2007. On June 1st, 2007, Cameron County awarded a 4-year contract to Lineberger, Goggin, Blair, Sampson, LLP, to collect the delinquent property taxes for Cameron County, which includes all taxing entities within the city except the Brownsville Independent School District. The contract that the county has with Lineberger firm expires May 31st, 2011. A few months ago, the law firm of E. Pena and Associates requested that the city seek proposals for delinquent property tax collection proposals, and the city commission at that time agreed. Now, because the interlocal agreement between the city and Cameron County required an amendment to allow the city to award a separate contract for the collection of delinquent property taxes, the city on June 2nd of this year amended the interlocal agreement that allowed the city to hire its own law firm to collect delinquent property taxes. Since the city's delinquent property taxes are already collected by the firm of Lineberger, through a contract awarded by Cameron County, the city's choice of soliciting proposals was a matter of choice and not a matter of necessity. On April 19th of this year, the city solicited statements of qualifications from attorney firms for the collection of delinquent property taxes. A pre-proposal meeting was conducted on Wednesday, May 27th of this year at the Purchasing Department's conference room. On June 3rd of this year, there were 4 sealed proposals that were received from 4 attorney firms. An evaluation committee was formed to evaluate the 4 proposals. The committee members consisted of Cameron County Tax Assessor Collector Tony Zaire, yours truly, Assistant City Attorney John Chosey, Assistant Finance Director Lupe Granado, and our internal auditor Joe Chavez. Now, Tony Zaire was asked to serve in the committee because of his expertise in collecting the city's current and delinquent property taxes since 1988. So he is the person that has the most expertise in this area since he's been doing this task for the city since that year. On Friday, June 5th, the committee met to evaluate each proposal. Interviews and presentations were heard from all 4 attorney firms on Friday, June 5th, and Saturday, June 6th. After all presentations were heard, the committee members graded each law firm based on the experience, support staff, size of firm, client base, capabilities, clarity, quality, and presentation. All of the proposals that were submitted included 0 costs to the city. All costs are to be paid by the delinquent property taxpayer. If I may add, 95% of our local population pays their property taxes on time, 95%. So there's only about 5% that is delinquent. The fees to be charged to delinquent property taxpayer range from one proposal that has 12.5% to 15%. I am going to go over the next slide when the item comes up on the action item, which is on the 15th action item, so I can cover the rest of my PowerPoint presentation along with the recommendation of the committee. We have allowed the 4 law firms to make a presentation to you this evening, and we're going to allow at least 10 minutes for each firm to make presentations to you. And then there's an item 15 where you will be asked to approve a contract to either one of the 4. Now, I may add that this was not easy for the committee. All the law firms that submitted bids are qualified to collect taxes, but we had to use our own judgment based on some of the facts that were presented to us, and that's how we came up with a recommendation. But by no means it was an easy task on our part, because we all felt that all 4 firms were qualified to do this type of task. Now we can start with on the workshop, Mayor, with, and I have them here listed. We can start with E. Peña and Associates to speak to you for 10 minutes, followed by the Lineberger firm. McCreary is the other one, and Purdue is the 4th one.
Before we get started, Commissioner Aguirre has a question.
As far as this committee, they were rated. Do we have those rates? What?
I have them ready. If you want me to present this to right now, I can certainly present this.
After you get the presentation.
Yeah, okay, I'll wait for that. You're right.
Let me ask you, the contract, is it for 1 year, renewable?
The year is going to be, obviously, it has a 30-day cancellation clause, but we want to make a 3-year contract.
3 year?
Yes. Right now, that the contract, and there's another slide, the contract that we have right now with, that Cameron County has with Lineberger expires May 31st, 2011.
Okay, any questions of Pete from the Commission? Let's proceed with the presentations.
We can have the
Mr.
law
Peña
firm
or
of
somebody
Peña.
from the Peña firm?
Change seat.
I asked the Commission withhold the questions till after the presentation by each firm. That way we try to keep it on time there. Thank you. So write down your questions if you have any that come up.
Excuse me, for those attorney firms that have a PowerPoint presentation, if you can just see Mr. Robert, you have it? You want him or?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Enrique Peña, Managing Attorney for the Law Office of E. Peña Associates. I'm going to go through a quick presentation and to initially start off who we are. I'm a local attorney, been practicing in Brownsville over 8 years, specializing only in delinquent taxes. I currently represent the Brownsville Independent School District as well as all the taxing entities in the Point Isabel, out of the Point Isabel Tax Office. My associate is Lourdes Costilla. She has over 8 years experience in litigating debt collection from all the way from Chicago through Brownsville. My office manager is Julio Lozano. He has 15 years experience in collection of, specifically in the Brownsville area, collecting delinquent taxes. And Mr. Roger Ober, my technical business director, formerly vice president of marketing out of division of IBM. He's joined me in January. Quick technical business director, I want to clarify that. That just means he's my efficiency expert. He has made us better. Why change? As you heard, we requested an opportunity to present to you because we believe that E. Peña Associates is the right firm for the city of Brownsville in these challenging times. We all know the challenging economic times that are hitting this country. They're trickling down to Brownsville. We're seeing it. We see it harder. Collections are becoming harder. We see more bounce checks, taxpayers telling us we don't have the money. So that's why we believe we're the right firm right now. Every time we've taken over an account from our competitor, we've collected more money, raised the percentage. In doing so, we've lowered the cost to the people of Brownsville, especially for BISD. 20% reduction, 18% reduction in attorney's fees to the citizens of Brownsville. I believe that was a great incentive in helping us collect. Right away, we're able to tell them, you have been given a break. Because every time they come in, they go, we can't pay. Where can we get a break? I go, we just gave it to you. We lowered our attorney's fees. By doing that, we're able to optimize our collections. Since I've been practicing only in Brownsville, my staff, we know the neighborhoods of the city. I know where they are. I know how to attack. Because now that when we go and collect, we're having to collect from smaller accounts. So instead of collecting from large accounts, what we call elephant hunting, we're going after what I coined javelina hunting. Because we have to go after a lot of javelinas because there's so many, the accounts are small. We don't have large homes. You know, we already know how our city's built. Small homes all up and down Jefferson and Levy. And especially with Brownsville, this BISD, we have to collect Cameron Park, one of the toughest areas. That's not incorporating the city, but it is. I mean, that's the challenges that my firm has had. But we've been able to collect. We improved BISD. We've kept them on target. We've done the same thing with the Point Isabel area. They get hit with a hurricane, we haven't lost step. That's why change is good here. We have a firm dedicated. I have a staff of 11. They're all from Brownsville. That staff doesn't include Ms. Costilla. We're practicing attorneys. We understand the courts. We understand the time difficulties we have with the judges now. They're pressuring us to move our docket faster. But back to the point is efficiency. Now it's even critical now that every dollar is important, every penny is important. And if we're not efficient in collections, then you're not going to get the end result, higher collections. That's the end result. And because we've been efficient, we implemented, I brought in Mr. Oberg to make us more efficient. We've been able to collect higher for the Brownsville-Penn School District. I'm going to turn over now to Mr. Oberg so he can finish up the rest.
I know our time is brief. In the time that I spent at IBM and other places, I used an expression called facts are friendly. And I think we have a number of facts that speak well to ePena & Associates' ability to collect for the city of Brownsville. As Rick mentioned, more revenue in the year after ePena & Associates took over an account, over $506,000 the year after we took over the BISD account, and smaller but still significant numbers for other districts. More accounts. This is not a small accomplishment in a tax collection area that has a number of small accounts. The number of accounts you visit has a direct bearing on how much you collect. Over 8,000 home visits were conducted last year, 20% more than the prior year, because ePena & Associates recognized that, as Rick said, the javelina hunting was the business we were in. We also filed more lawsuits substantially than your prior representation. Again, making real the law behind our right to collect taxes, and making sure people understood that we were serious about getting them for our clients. We also have, as Rick mentioned, 11 people, but more importantly, from a capability standpoint, that is a very high ratio for the number of clients that we carry. So we carry one attorney for every 3 clients currently, one collector for every 2 clients, versus one for every 5 from Linebarger, your current collector. And we intend to maintain these ratios because it's necessary to maintain these ratios when we go after the number of accounts that we go after in a territory like Brownsville. And not least of all, although it was only ranked 10% of the, only weighted 10% of the total criteria, we would suggest it might be higher, but that was the weighting. We are also less expensive, putting money back in the pockets of the voters in tough economic times. So those are the numbers, pretty straightforward, and I think they really speak to our efficiency. I'll put one more slide up here, and if we'd had more time, I would have shown you a little bit more of this, but one of the reasons I was excited to come to work with Rick was my prior experience in bringing contemporary business analytics to large data problems. And one of the things that I think we're going to be able to drive for the city is just greater efficiency in collections through the use of analytics. This relatively small example just demonstrates that there are many collections that need to be done outside of the state of Texas or the city of Brownsville. They own property here, but they live elsewhere. And I've highlighted a $5,000 tax debt in Georgia there as a simple example. But we have a capacity to identify these people wherever they are. We have the ability in Brownsville to identify them in the neighborhoods where we need to collect, and we have the people to call on them. So this greater efficiency, we think, serves both the city of Brownsville and your constituents. The prior slide was simply a purely marketing slide that said, if you look at all the criteria, we think we're particularly well suited. You go back one. Particularly well suited. Thanks.
And let me wrap up with Mr. Oberg's points. When we talk about costs, we're believing that if we pick ePena & Associates, we're going to lower the cost of the attorney's fees by $100,000. That's $100,000 that the taxpayers have in their pocket. Simple multiplier effect. And we know that taxpayers don't save their money. If there's $100,000 out there, it's going to revolve in this economy 3 times. So there's $300,000 of taxable dollars revolving, which is going to help the city in their tax revenue. And that, in one simple rate, you're creating your own stimulus package. And I think that's very important. And one other thing, are we capable? Yeah, we're capable. We're capable to collect. We did it for Brownsville ISD, which is over 2.5 times the size of the city of Brownsville. And the experience is there. I have the most experience of any practicing attorney in the field of delinquent taxes in Cameron County. There's no doubt about that. And I know the city, I know what needs to be done, and I have the staff to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pena. Does anybody from the commission wish to ask any questions?
May I just have one question? Mr. Pena, how many individuals are part of your staff here in Brownsville?
We have 11.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pena.
Thank you.
Who's next? Mr. Lineberger? You want to put the boxes up here on the table? You want to put them on the table over here?
Only if we need them.
It's up to you.
Mr. Mayor, City Commission, members of the city staff, good afternoon. My name is John Guevara. I'm a partner with Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson. I also manage the local Brownsville office for our firm. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present our credentials to the city. You know, I want to tell you a little bit about who we are and what advantages that we provide to the city. You know, first of all, we're local. This office has been here since 1985. We have been in the Brownsville area for almost 25 years. I noticed your American Airlines sign there. You know, the city has been trying to attract businesses to come to Brownsville to stimulate economic development. Well, 25 years ago, you got our firm's attention, and we located in Brownsville, opened up an independent office here, and this office has grown to 24 experienced staff here in Brownsville. This 24-member staff not only live here, the majority of them live here, but they shop, they play ball here, this office pumps over $1 million into the local economy each year. We also support many city and civic and educational programs within our city. Our experienced staff includes attorneys, taxpayer assistants, assistance clerks, paralegals, tax sale and resale professionals, tax warrant manager, property inspectors, field collectors. We also have 2 registered tax assessor collectors on staff. This 24-member staff, you know, besides working here in Brownsville, we've got 54 other staff members up the valley in McAllen and Edinburgh that are ready, willing, and able to lend us a hand if we needed that support. So in total, we've got about 75 staff members here in the Rio Grande Valley. But these 24 concentrate right here in Brownsville. Second, we offer verifiable results. We offer a proven track record. Despite a troubled economy the last couple of years or so, city collections are up. We represent the county. County collections are up. Surrounding communities here in Brownsville that involve the same taxpayer, collections are up. These consistent collections offer our clients, they offer you peace of mind, and they offer your staff the ability to forecast income streams. Third, we offer the city a number of resources and collection services that make certain that your collection goals are met. We offer the city superior litigation experience, telephone call center support, taxpayer assistance and education, successful tax warrant and tax sale programs, a strong regular mailing program. We're involved in the legislature because we know that changes made in Austin will affect your community and they will affect the collection efforts here locally. We offer federal forfeiture and federal condemnation representation, national bankruptcy representation, and complex litigation services. No other firm can offer you these resources. No other firm can offer you this level of service. Finally, we believe that we offer what is best for all the taxpayers in Brownsville. Like your staff mentioned, the attorney fees only affect those 4 to 5% who do not pay on time. They don't affect all the taxpayers, they affect the delinquent taxpayer. Let's look at litigation activity for the city of Brownsville. You know, we have filed petitions between October 2005 and June 2009, 862 petitions seeking to collect $2.2 million. Of those non-suit paids, 301 collecting over $800,000. We've taken 254 judgments totaling over $900,000. And pending suits right now, we have 323 totaling almost $700,000. Demonstrated results. Let's look at your 5-year collection history. In 2003, 2004, you saw that collections were at about $2 million. They increased by $400,000 the next year. Still $2.4 million in 2005, 2006. The only blip there is last year, despite having hurricanes, collections are still there, they're consistent, and they're increasing. Let's look at your 8-month collection comparison, collections this year compared to collections last year. Last year, collected $1.7 million. This year, we're at $1.8 million through 8 months of the year, with our peak months still coming. Our peak months are July and August, because May and June usually involve taxpayers paying their current taxes before a state-mandated penalty kicks into effect on July 1st. So typically, May is one of your weaker months, but July and August are peak months. In any case, going into that time of the year, collections are up. I want to point out the percentages. The percentages are, you see the 24.31 on the first bar. That's 24.31% through 8 months of a bucket the size of $5.1 million. The $5.1 million at the bottom is basically the amount of taxes that were out there that you charged us with collecting. Okay? We collect, through 8 months, we collected 24% of that. The next year, percentages are up, 25.87, but look at the size of the bucket. The bucket dropped to 5.1 million, and that's what you want. You want the size of your bucket every year to decrease. That means less taxes are owed to the city. You want numbers, you want more money collected each year, you want a higher percentage collected each year, and you want that bottom number, the delinquent tax roll, you want that to decrease, because that's less money that is owed to the city. That's what you're telling us to do. Go and collect that money. Bottom line, City of Brownsville's up, percentage-wise, dollar-wise, and the bucket's getting smaller. Okay, local area collections. Let's look at the same taxpayer here within the area. City of Brownsville, October through April, you're up almost $60,000 with 5 months left to go. We've collected almost $1.2 million. BISD, by comparison, the same taxpayer, they collected $915,000 less from July to April, and there's a difference there. July to April is their fiscal year. They start July and they go to June, so with 2 months remaining, they're showing almost $900,000 difference left on the table from last year to this year. City of Brownsville, the same taxpayer, up. That means from the same taxpayer, we're collecting more money than our competitor is here in Brownsville. Incidentally, Cameron County, the same picture. Cameron County collections are up. Their fiscal year begins October through April. Bottom line, our clients are up. Our competitor locally is down, almost over $900,000. Other firms. This is a picture of Hidalgo County, 4-year collections. The red signifies Linebarger Collections. The blue signifies our competitor, Purdue. 4 years ago, Linebarger collected $9.7 million, or 33.75% of your pool, your bucket. The next year, Purdue took over towards the end of the year, but the large majority of it was collected by Linebarger. The next year, Purdue collected about $11 million, just about the same amount that Linebarger and Purdue collected the previous year. But look at this last year. They've collected $10.6 million thus far this year. But more importantly, look at the bucket. The bucket 4 years ago was $28.8 million. It increased to $30.4 million. It increased another $500,000 the third year, $500,000. But the dollar collections on the top did not increase by $500,000 between the second and the third bar. This fourth bar, the bucket increased by $2 million, and they're behind. That percentage that they're at right now is not going to even match the percentage that we had 4 years ago. Somebody might tell you that they've collected more money than Linebarger. People usually try to tell our clients that. But you got to look at the size of the bucket. If the bucket's bigger, there's more money out there that you should be collecting. You should collect more because the bucket's larger. That's what's happened in each of these cases. The bucket went from $28.8 million on the first year to $33 million the fourth year. Overall cost. We submitted a proposal that entailed a 15% attorney's fees. Our competitor here locally submitted a proposal to collect at 12.5%. Let's see what that 2.5% difference is. In this example, we took our competitor's top 1,000 accounts at BISD. The average debt is $1,600. In this example, the base tax due, like I said, the debt is $1,600. The attorney fees at 15% would be $240. An abstract fee is charged for $175. That abstract fee involves research fees that make sure that property is properly identified, the taxpayer is properly identified, the owner of the property, any lien holders involved on the property, so that the right person is involved in the litigation. $175. Bottom line, $2,015 will be owed by that taxpayer. In the second example, the other firm locally is charging 12.5. That's a $200 fee or a $40 difference. They charge abstract fees in this example of $275. Total amount to that taxpayer is $2,075. You've got the same tax debt, but they're charging $60 more. In the next example, same base tax, same 12.5 attorney's fees. However, the abstract fees in this example are $450. The difference here is for the first year and a half to the first year and 3 quarters that they had, the other firm had the Brownsville ISD contract, they were charging $450 per property for abstract fees. That's the same service that we charge $175 for. Bottom line, that same taxpayer is paying $235 more than they would have paid us. In this last example, everything's the same except the abstract fee. This abstract fee is $2,250. Why? Because they charged that $450 5 times, 5 different properties. Bottom line, that taxpayer is paying $2,035 more than they would have paid us. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. Let's look at this. This is one of our suits involving 17 properties. We charged an abstract fee of $175, period. The next example is a January 21st of this year judgment. That other firm, this is a VISD lawsuit. Actually, it's a judgment. They charge $450. This next example, 2 tracts of land, 2 different properties. They charge $900. This example, 5 tracts of land. They charge $2,250. I brought with me boxes full of each one of their petitions that shows $450. Now, to give them credit, in March or so they did change, or maybe it was February, they did change to $275, still more than us. I think recently they've started charging $200, still more than us. So I ask, is that 2.5% really, is it really a difference? We're going to hand out, I have a chart that I'll hand out, and it shows what the difference is on a particular amount of property or debt that the taxpayer will have. Your average taxpayer does not owe $1,600. Your average taxpayer owes just under $400. Thank you. On $400, the difference between the 12.5 fee and the 15% fee is $10. That's how much more that taxpayer is going to pay on a $400 debt. I would submit that that 2.5% is really a non-factor. What's happening is they'll come in and say they're going to charge you this amount, but the fees behind it are actually end up costing the taxpayer more. In conclusion, we've addressed each of the evaluation criteria in our proposal. I wish I had more time to go into great detail on the services that we offer. I can only do so much in 10 minutes. But you know, we have so many services that we can offer this city, that we do offer the city each and every day. We've got 24 experienced staff here that are ready to do the city's business. These people are from Brownsville. They know Brownsville. I went to school here. I'm the only attorney competing here that went to school right here at UTB. So I know the area as well. We've had the honor and distinction of representing the city for years through Cameron County. Like I said, we've been here since 1985. And we've enjoyed working with you. We'd be honored to continue representing the city. We've shown you consistent collections. We've shown you increased collections. And, you know, we'll continue to do that work. I thank you for your consideration and your attention. Be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Guevara. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Just, you mentioned Brownsville ISD compared to the city, which you're collecting. Don't you think you're comparing apples to oranges where BISD can't collect the woods, BISD can't collect Ridgeline, BISD can't collect Los Pinos? I mean, those are more well-to-do professionals that are living up north. So it's unfair for you to say that BISD is doing a little lower when they don't have that tax bracket to go after, because all those people are paying school taxes to Los Fresnos. Would you agree with that?
I'm not comparing apples.
Well, you did earlier.
No. What I'm comparing, I asked you all to consider what the size of the bucket was and the percentage increase in collections from one year to the other. Mm-hmm. The demographics of the bucket stays the same. What happens is if people don't pay their taxes, then that bucket's going to increase. Now, if you want me to include Los Fresnos ISD, which does include the woods, they're also up in collections. The only ones that are down are the Laguna Madre area. They're down in collections from previous years, and so is BISD. Those two entities, those two groups, are represented by my competitor, not me. All my surrounding entities are all up.
I got another question. I Googled y'all's and participating in our communities. Everywhere I saw is other cities but Brownsville, Texas. Brownsville, Texas was not represented in your website as far as giving back to the community. I have a problem with that because you all are a big firm. You're the Walmart of these delinquent taxes. And yes, you're going up against some firms that are HEBs. Yes, you have been out there. You're all over the United States. I totally commend your office for doing what they're doing. But when you get too big, you forget about the little guys. And I consider Brownsville a little guy. I fight for the little guy. And when I go to a website and I see where all the money, your attorney fees, all go back to San Antonio or the home base, and then they're distributed back to you all. I think they're using a lot of our fees from Brownsville for charities up there, and I have a problem with that. That's where that's all I'm at. That's all I wanted to bring up.
If I could address that, I'd like all the Linebarger people, everybody, all the Linebarger people, please stand up.
Exactly.
Let
me ask you something.
Hold
on, real quick.
No, let me address it.
Okay, go ahead.
Commissioner, let him respond, please.
These people all participate in baseball, in basketball,
totally
in football, in
totally
boys and girls clubs.
I know a lot of them.
Okay, and we give back to the community. We don't turn anybody down. We could participate in Monica's House. We're one of their major sponsors. Mr. Amigo, we're a major sponsor every year. United Way, Boy Scouts, Boys Clubs, baseball, football. We're involved very much. And
I think the issue here is the service, and I think that's what we're trying to look at, see who's best qualified to do the job.
And I got one more question, and I'll be quiet. Did you hire attorneys from Peña, Esparza, and Garza?
Peña, Esparza, and Garza is a defunct.
Did you hire attorneys from Peña, Esparza, and Garza?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Now let me ask you something. You went into buying a business or a firm. Now, who's going to go into wanting to buy a firm for whatever amount? I heard it was close to the $1 million range, not thinking that wasn't a firm that was doing good. Now, would you buy a firm because they're doing bad and you want to get rid of them and you want to squash the little guy? Or did you want to buy that firm because you knew they were doing good and they're on the up, and now, hey, it's time the way Linebarger does business, I have a question about how you do it. I think you're a good guy, but some of these decisions come from higher up, past Brownsville. So why, if you thought this firm, your competitor, was doing bad, you take 2 attorneys away from them to go work for you?
Out of respect for all the attorneys in that partnership, I don't want to get in too much detail with it, but I can assure you that opportunity was beneficial to both parties, and that came from me. Didn't come from higher up. That came from me.
Oh, it came from you. So why would you want to buy hold on, let me finish. Why would you want to buy a firm unless it's doing good? Nobody invests in a business or a firm or something they want to buy if it's not worth anything, right?
I don't think that's germane to what is here before us.
I just want to ask the question because I have a problem with it.
That's a business decision, and
I think
really out of respect.
This is not germane to what we're here for. I appreciate the Commissioner's questions, but let's focus on what is germane, and that is representing the City of Brownsville, working with the citizens to make sure they're not forced to have to go to court and try to minimize costs for everybody and improve our collections. I think that's what we should be focusing on.
Could y'all come down to 12%?
That's not
asking a question.
But that's not. This is not the place to be negotiating here. That was done through the committee, and this is not. It's not proper to do that. Everybody submitted their best proposal, and it would be unfair to the others to start here as if we were in the market. Who's going to go down their bid? I don't think it's appropriate. I think it was done professionally, and they each one submitted what they thought they could do. They're making a presentation here. They're pointing out the differences, and I think then it's ultimately up to each commissioner to vote who they have confidence or who they would like to represent the city in the collections. Not that one is not worthy. They're all worthy of doing the work. They're all competent, I should say. They're all competent, as Pete Gonzalez, our finance director, said. They're all competent. It's just who we want to. It's a matter of a choice. Who do we want to represent the city and do the collections, the delinquent tax collections for us? That's all. Thank you, Mr. Yolanda.
I have a comment and a couple of questions. I do have the documents that demonstrate that civic engagement is very important to your firm, which also shows me that you want to protect your image and convey the best image possible as a professional firm. However, I do understand that your firm has previously been under scrutiny for some of the practices your firm has engaged in or former employees. And albeit practices include the aggressiveness and sometimes abrasive approach of some of your employees to acquire contracts like the one before us today. What is your firm doing now to address such problems and to make sure that your employees practice professionally? I will say that personally I've had at least 4 of my friends approached by your firm in an effort to convince me to vote appropriately. So I do want to bring that before us today because I am here in the effort of transparency and to make the best decision possible for this city and for the people who chose for me to be here. So what I would like to hear from you is what is your firm doing to address such scrutiny, such problems as I have mentioned before?
Well, our firm takes very great pride in protecting its image. We are a national firm with a lot of employees. Each one of them is required to take ethics training. All our attorneys, we have a certain code of ethics that we have to live by or we lose our license. I'm not very familiar with maybe 4 contacts with you, but certainly we've attempted to contact commissioners to let them know, especially the new ones, to let them know about our firm and what we offer so that you can make an informed decision. Other than that, there's nothing else that, we don't...
And I can attest, I was contacted by other people in the other firms.
I'm pretty sure everybody's been contacted by, if not all the firms, most of them. There was a no contact rule in the RFP, and we follow the directions to that as instructed.
Right, which I understand that there is a no contact rule in there. That's why I brought that to light, because I do feel that the bidding process should be respected, and that was just a concern that I wanted to bring to your attention.
Mayor, may I make a comment? Just as a comment, I think the only firm that did not contact me was the Purdue firm, and that is the only person who has not attempted to contact me as a result of this bidding process.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Ivy J. Arroyo. I am the Client Development Director. Sir? Yes, I can. Good afternoon, Commission, Mayor. I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to present our firm, McCrary, Veselka, Bragg & Allen. I'm a resident of Brownsville, have been for many years, and I am thankful at the opportunity to address you today. First of all, I want to thank you for the time and the effort that you put forth to represent our city in every endeavor, trying to move forward the things in our city to make us a better city and to make us better people. So I want to thank you for your service, because that does take a tremendous amount of time. First of all, I wanted to present to you the vision of McCrary, Veselka, Bragg & Allen. We are a firm that has been in business for over 48 years, and that counts for a lot of experience. And our vision is we are committed to being the premier provider of collection services in the markets that we serve. We serve a tremendous amount of clients across the state of Texas. Our mission in this, is in every business, is to create partnerships with our clients, providing unsurpassed service, innovation, continuous improvement, resulting in enhanced revenues, profitability for our clients and our firm. Nobody goes into business to fail. The margin of error is zero. And that being said, our absolute priority is to provide you with superior service and the performance that you deserve while maximizing those collections. Brownsville is the land of opportunity. We're not like the other firms. We don't want to be compared to the other firms because we aren't like that. The numbers that you've seen and things of that nature, I can tell you that those are not numbers. I can tell you that straight out. And Brownsville, being a land of opportunity, gives us the opportunity to serve you, do a great job, and provide new employment. Your need is to create greater efficiencies and increase revenues. We can do that. Any competitor out there that can do this job, we can do better. I can assure you of that with the utmost of confidence. You know, I'm a product of the Brownsville schools. I know what it's like to live in Brownsville and have everybody tell you, oh, you can't do this, oh, you can't do that, oh, this will never happen to you. Well, you know what? It will happen, and it can happen. Because that is what I want to exude and let you know that it can happen for Brownsville. Those numbers can be higher. We want to establish a local office with local representation, providing this district, this taxing district, and the taxpayers across that access to MVBA. And we've done that by partnering with the law firm of Rodriguez and Nicholas. I'd like at the moment right now for Michael to introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his involvement with our firm.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I'd like to congratulate our two new commissioners on your winning campaigns, and we look forward to your faithful service the next 4 years. My name is Michael Rodriguez, and I am the senior partner at a law firm by the name of Rodriguez and Nicholas. My law firm's been in practice or been in existence since 2002. Our role in this partnership is twofold. What my law firm does is we represent local clients as well as national international clients on behalf of large law firms that are national and international firms, as well as local firms, local clients, in litigation here in Cameron County and throughout South Texas, throughout the entire South Texas region. We are going to assist as local counsel with McCreary, Veselka, Bragg, and Allen in any complex commercial litigation that's necessary and that they ask us to be a part in. That's what my law firm does. We represent clients in mostly complex commercial matters. But the other role that we're going to have in this partnership is one of governmental affairs. We have a division in our office that does that. Myself and Representative Eddie Lucio III. Basically what that means is your first phone call will be to me. If we're awarded this contract, if any of you have any questions at any time, you can pick up the phone, make a phone call directly to me, and we will respond as quickly as possible to your question or whatever it is, whatever need you may need to have service at that time. We will also be a part of providing you periodic reports, and by periodic I mean on your schedule, in whichever manner and means you would like us to make our reports to you, weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, whatever it is, my law firm will be involved in making those presentations to the City Commission as well. I've worked in lawsuits with Commissioner Troiani and against Commissioner Troiani, and I think he'll agree with my statement here, and I hope he will. My law firm prides itself on professionalism and the ethical representation of our clients. That is core mission to our law firm. And when we were asked to join McCreary, Veselka, Bragg, and Allen in this endeavor, we made sure that we did our due diligence on the law firm who asked us to join up with them. And what we found in our due diligence was a law firm that has a statewide presence. They represent hundreds of taxing entities across the state of Texas in the highest ethical and professional manner. They share the same core mission that we have with respect to ethics and professionalism, and we're proud to have joined with them in this endeavor. And finally, if I can touch on one thing before I cede the podium back. You heard some other firms talk about the employees that they have here in town. If we're awarded the contract, as Mr. Arroyo just told you, we intend to open a new office here. This is new job creation. This is new job growth. There will be new jobs created through this partnership in Brownsville, Texas, not the continuation of existing jobs or the envelopment of a new account by an already existing firm. This will be the creation of new jobs. It's new economic development. I think that's important to bring out and touch on a little bit today. Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to represent the city of Brownsville.
Thank you, Michael. At the moment, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Shelley Vaselka, who is a partner with the law firm of McCrary, Vaselka, Bragg & Allen, and Mr. Noe Reyes, if we're awarded the contract. Noe would be running the office, until which time we could hire an attorney that would be someone that you would be happy with and someone that we would be happy with, including the other staff members that would be necessary. One of the things when you're hiring anybody is being able to have confidence. And confidence in a delinquent tax firm, can you go back one? Having confidence in your delinquent tax firm comes through communication and responsiveness and making yourself available to your client. I think that is one of the key and the highlights for McCrary, Vaselka, Bragg & Allen, because we pride ourselves in the ability to communicate. That is, communicate not only with you, but the people that you represent, which are the taxpayer. And I can assure you that with responsiveness and understanding to the delinquent taxpayers' concerns is a concern of ours. Our firm works very hard with those property owners that have limited financial means. I grew up in this community. My grandmother just passed away last week, and after doing some research, realized that we had 142 descendants from my grandmother living in the southmost area. I know what it's like to be poor. But I can tell you that it's very easy to be able to sit down with our client, the taxpayer, to find ways to be creative. It costs us absolutely nothing to be creative, to show compassion to the taxpayer, to be able to meet those numbers that we need to meet. I've heard a couple of presenters talking about going after the taxpayer. You know something? I don't like going after anybody, nor do you. I don't think you'd like anybody going after your taxpayer. I think there are ways to communicate. You draw more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And that is our approach, a compassionate, realistic approach to delinquent tax collection. Something different, something fresh, something new. And we are the firm of choice. I believe that we can accomplish all of those things while at the same time you're not having to worry about whether you're going to open up the newspaper tomorrow and find something with regard to McCrary, Vaselka, Bragg & Allen giving you a black eye in the face. That is not who we are. That is not how we represent anybody. And as a result, we want to be the very best because as council members and mayor, you set out to do something great and make some changes and do something great for this community. And while tax collection may not seem something that is really great, it's a necessity. We want to offer you a total solution. That is what is known as a turnkey process. We want to offer you a complete delinquent tax program from initial contact through final payment, utilizing proven collection procedures. Again, our communications with our property owners or your property owners, they're our clients together. What we do produces positive results. That is bilingual letters that go out to get the taxpayer's attention, communication, timely and regular mailing of letters. We have never been late on a mailing. Bilingual telephone contact. That is very important. What we recommend to help you achieve your objectives and maximize your challenges is a quick and customized, responsive implementation. That means if we are hired today, we will have an office up and running by July 1. That means the July 1 mailings will go out. Everything will be handled. We will not skip a beat. The new law firm will not skip a beat. Things will continue. Collections will continue. The letters will go out. We want to be able to create something different, because to have an idea that a one-size-fits-all approach is going to work, it's not going to work. Brownsville is unique. I was born in Brownsville, Texas in 1962. Brownsville is unique. Brownsville is important to me. My family is important to me. Those families that are out there are important to me. I know how to handle that. You will have direct access and communication to myself as well as every attorney with that firm. You will talk to an individual, not a recording. What I want to do at this moment is to turn the microphone over to Mr. Shelley Baselka so that he can share some thoughts with regard to this opportunity.
Thank you, Ivy, Mr. Mayor, and the Commissioners. My name is Shelley Baselka, and I want to share a couple of things with you. We're talking about staffing a new office here and hiring an attorney. But in 1971, the law firm signed a contract with the City of Temple. And as a result of that contract, they had to hire a new attorney to help work the City of Temple, and that was me. So we want to do that here in Brownsville. We'd like to sign the City of Brownsville to a contract. We're going to hire a new attorney, and we expect that attorney to be working here again for the 40 years they were here. At one time, you say you're working, you don't want to save for retirement. Well, I'm saving for college all over again. I've got a young family starting off again. But we want to put somebody here that will be here for that period of time, that will generate income for you. Mr. Rodriguez mentioned that the first phone call that he wants to have would be coming from one of y'all. Y'all should call him first. Well, the phone call that you're going to be making to Mr. Rodriguez is probably going to result from a phone call that you get from one of your taxpayers. We know that not only do we work for you, we work for the people that elect you to office. If we treat them poorly, they're going to tell you. They're going to gripe about us. We do not want that to happen. We want to make sure that we treat everybody fairly. Mr. Arroyo talked about making sure that we work with everybody, and we are going to work with everybody. But we found out a long time ago that if you work too long with people, sometimes they get so far behind in their collections that they can't keep their property. We're not going to let that happen. We're going to work with them from the beginning. When we initiate our actions, we'll find out what needs to be done, and we're going to have people on the ground to do that for you. I appreciate the time to talk to y'all, and I'll be glad to talk to y'all any other time. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
In closing, I'd like to state that everyone should have received a copy of our proposal, which shows a list of our clients that we represent and any numbers that you'd like to see. I could show that to you all day in and day out, but we preferred that you meet us as individuals because that's who you'd be dealing with. So at this moment, I'd like to answer any possible questions that you might be able to, that we might be able to field for you.
The new office you'd open in Brownsville would employ approximately how many employees? New employees.
I didn't hear clearly.
The new office you'd open in Brownsville would employ approximately how many new employees?
I believe at the startup, we probably, I think we're scheduled to employ about 7 employees. That is, have Noe there, a current attorney and clerks, and an individual at the Cameron County Tax Office assisting clients there.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this RFP process. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Iram Gutierrez. I'm a partner with Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott in association with John David Franz. Also with me this evening is Tomo Bandu, a partner with our firm, and Kevin Rodriguez, who is helping us with the PowerPoint. Mayor John David Franz sends his apologies for not being able to be here, but he is tied up in court right now. We have a short PowerPoint presentation to show you But first of all, I do want to address a couple of things. I did see that there was a no contact clause on that RFQ, and we respected it. We respect the rules, we respect the process. I wish we could have met with each and every one of you on a personal basis, informal basis, and I'm sorry we weren't able to do that. Our firm combines the efforts of Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins & Mott, a law firm with over 35 years of delinquent tax experience. Currently, our firm has over 32 principal lawyers and a total of 45 attorneys altogether. The firm represents over 1,200 entities throughout the state of Texas. We are a Texas firm. Currently, our firm represents 8 taxing entities in the Rio Grande Valley, the main ones being Hidalgo County, La Joya ISD, and the City of FAR and Drainage District Number 1. We are entrusted with over $49 million in delinquent base tax alone in Rio Grande Valley. Our current firm in McAllen is located at 400 McCall. It is staffed by 5 attorneys, 7 legal assistants, 1 office manager, 1 call center manager, 1 call center supervisor, 3 field inspector, 11 call center specialists, 3 research specialists, 3 file clerks, and 1 receptionist. This is part of our staff at our McAllen office. Here's a brief executive summary and scope of our services. Our firm has the resources to conduct mailouts, field inspections, address research. I think one of the things that sets us apart from other firms is our call center. And this is part of our mail-out procedures. Currently, in the 07-08 tax year, we mailed out over 125,000 notices in Hidalgo County. And this fiscal year, over 150 notices in the county. Our call center, again, is what I think sets us apart from the competition. This is a call center that is located in the valley, in McAllen, and is trained to deal with problems in the Rio Grande Valley. All our call center personnel are very professional and speak Spanish. We also have field inspectors that visit our taxpayers, businesses, and homes. We map out the subdivisions, and we go out in the field and visit those taxpayers in person. When we took over Hidalgo County, this was something very interesting. When we did our first mass mailing, this is a picture of all the mailing that came back. This is mail that has bad address. In other words, these notices for years and years have been going out to taxpayers and never actually getting to the taxpayer because they don't have a correct address. We at our office conduct address research, we find new addresses for the taxpayer, and we send them another notice. This has been very, very successful in Hidalgo County. Another thing that our office does is conducts ownership research. On May of 2007, our office took over the collections from Linebarger, your current firm, in La Joya ISD. This is one of the accounts that we took over from Linebarger. As you can see, the owner is unknown. The tax years that were owed were 1996 and 1997. Again, I want to tell you, we took over in 2007. This account had been on the rolls for over 10 years with an unknown owner. Bottom right corner, you see that this taxpayer owed over $74,000 to La Joya ISD. Together with the county, the tax office, and the appraisal district working together, we were able to identify the owners, and I do say owners because this account had actually been divided into 16 different owners. The account has been divided and has been since paid. This is just one example of one of those situations where we have been very successful. One of the things that a lot of people are concerned about is from switching to another delinquent tax firm is, are we going to have problems? Can they handle our account? I can tell you, Hidalgo County had a delinquent tax roll of over $30 million. We quickly transitioned, and we were able to raise their collections within the first year. La Joya ISD, same thing. It's about a $9 million tax roll. City of FAR, over close to $3 million. We have already increased their collections. Go ahead. Hidalgo County. The far left column represents the last year that Linebarger collected for Hidalgo County. As you can see, they collected $9,729,000 in base tax. To the far right, the top pie chart tells you what percentage of the pie they collected. What you see there is that they collected 33.75% of the delinquent tax roll. The next column is when we came in. Linebarger had already collected part of the year. We came in and collected the other half of the year. That year, the collections were that they realized that the county were over $10,900,000. The third year is Purdue by ourselves. As you can see, we collected $11,053,000, which is more than those two previous years. And as you can see on the far right on the pie charts, you can see we collected 35.70% of the delinquent tax roll, which is more than the last year that Linebarger collected for the county. This gives you a snapshot of 10 years of collections. The far right columns are the ones where we became involved in the collections in Hidalgo County. As you can see, those last 2 years are the best collection rates ever, or at least in the 10-year period that we're looking at here. And that's as far as we went. We didn't try to go farther, and I suspect that those are probably the best 2 years ever. I'm really glad I had the opportunity to listen to our colleagues in their presentation, because you were told that, I think you were left with the impression that at Hidalgo County collections are down. And as you can see, as of April, collections are actually up $138,000, which is more than at Cameron County. Secondly, we've already seen May's collections, and actually the county is now over $170,000 over the previous year. La Joya ISD, the same thing. We're up over 1.10% over the previous year. City of FAR, we took over collections there around September, and we have already exceeded previous year's collections by over $58,000. Here we have a comparison of school districts. Here's La Joya Independent School District. Go back, Kevin. As you can see, last fiscal year, we exceeded previous year's collections by over $320,000 in base tax alone. The pies show you that we've actually collected a larger portion of the pie as compared to when Linebarger had it, by over 3%. This is a comparison of various school districts in the Hidalgo County. This is last fiscal year. As you can see, we exceeded the previous year's collections by over $320,000. All of the other accounts, with the exception of Mission CISD, was represented by your current firm. As you can see, they all suffered serious decreases in collections, both in dollars and percentage of the delinquent tax roll. These are not my numbers. I didn't make them up. These are reports that come from Armando Barrera, the tax assessor collector for all those entities. So, as you can see, here you have La Joya Independent School District. You'll see that the delinquent tax row over there and the column on the far right, collections have increased by 3.12% over the previous year. And these are the reports for all the entities that I showed you, so you can see that I didn't make up these numbers. There's the proof. Go ahead, Kevin. Go through all of them. When we took over in La Joya ISD, the blue column, as you can see, had a collection rate of 27.80. Edinburgh ISD, 31.45, a Linebarger client. PSJ, 34.96, 33.25 for West Laco ISD. That's when we came in. The following fiscal year, La Joya ISD had better collection rate than Edinburgh ISD. And so far, this current fiscal year, as of April 2009, La Joya ISD now has the best collection rate of all those four entities. All the other three are collected by Linebarger. These are clients that we have gained from Linebarger. As you can see, there's many clients. The next slide shows you what Linebarger has gained from us. McCreary, these are clients we've gained from McCreary. The bottom two are the ones that McCreary gained from us. In closing, again, we have been given the responsibility over collecting $49 million in base tax alone in Hidalgo County, and we believe we can do the same type of job for you. Any questions?
Commissioner, sum it up. Any question? Thank you very much.
Y'all have offices in 9 different locations throughout the state, right?
That's correct.
You're obviously located in McAllen, and there would be no possibility of a branch office here locally, correct?
Yes, we could. In fact, that is our plan to establish a satellite office here. We would start, if it was the city, for example, we'd start small, perhaps two legal assistants, 3 phone collectors, 1 field collector, judge the situation and adjust accordingly.
And you currently have a call center in McAllen, is what you said, right?
We do.
And thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, I think that sums it up. We're running behind, 2 minutes behind, going into our regular meeting. Unless you all have any other questions. Okay. Please rise.
We've already taken care of that. We've already taken care of that.
We did all that.
Okay, then Commissioner report.
Commissioners report, Commissioner Triano.
Is it my turn?
We already did the pledge of allegiance for Commissioner.
Thank you. I just want to thank everybody who participated in the 150th anniversary of the Immaculate Conception Cathedral. We had that last week. It was a wonderful event. And I wanted to personally thank Bishop Peña, Cardinal DiNardo, the rector of the Immaculate Conception, Pasquale Lenese, and Father Michael Ames, and the Restoration Committee, the Knights of Columbus, Bob and Rich Torres, my wife, and everyone who is a member of the parish, the congregation, and everyone who participated in the event. It was a beautiful event. It was very well attended, and it was something special. The building itself is a beautiful building, but to have it completely full and to have so much attention lavished on it and the hard work of so many people really made it worthwhile, and I appreciate everybody's hard work and dedication towards that, and I just want to say thank you for everyone who attended and participated. That's it. Now, as far as the elections, we've just had the elections as well, and obviously I want to congratulate the newly elected commissioners, Dr. Gowan, Commissioner Zamora, congratulations. And then also, I'd like to take the time to thank everyone who was a candidate, who took the time to participate in the electoral process, who stepped up and offered their services to our community. It's something that takes a lot of time, commitment, and money and effort. And once you've done that, you kind of understand that it takes a lot to get elected and to participate and to commit yourself to doing something like that. And my hat's off to everybody who ran, Carlos Ayala, Commissioner Cisneros, and all the other candidates. It took a lot of their time and effort and a lot of time away from their families. And I think that we need to thank them and everybody else who's participated. And I look forward to working with the new commissioners that we do have. And I think that it really, to me, the process is very important. And I think as a community we need to look at where we're going, and it's very important that we take the time to consider that. And we also have to consider the turnout. I think one of the most concerning parts was that we had such a low voter turnout. And when people talk about funding for our city, how are we going to get money from Washington, how are we going to get money from Austin, It has to do with voter turnout. And if we want to get the big stimulus money, if we want to get the big grants and the projects that would come from Washington, that would come from Austin, we've got to have higher voter turnout. And I think that's something that we as a community need to work on so that we can show the people in Washington and the people in Austin that we have a voice and that we're willing to support candidates and platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Trinity. The Sports Parks event, Commissioner Atkinson.
Yeah, I just want to let the people know out there that they had an event this past weekend with some Tejano bands that were out there, and they had a close to 5,000 people went out there to the sports park, and they participated in a great event out there. And the goal of the sports park is to bring other events. We're in talks with Garth Brooks for Labor Day weekend, along with Shania Twain. We want to bring something to this community that we haven't. We have, you know, people go away. We have to go to Hidalgo, to the Dodge Arena to see a concert. But, you know, we have great places here in Brownsville to throw such concerts. And I just want to thank the Parks and Rec director and all the employees that work under you that helped get this concert underway. It was a success for being its first time. You know, it started out, they didn't know where to put people to park, but it worked out. And at the end, we're just going to get better. It's going to get better. And maybe one day some private investor might say, you know what, I want to invest with the city and bring a Dodge Arena to that. I think we have 46 acres out there that are open for development out there. I'm going to move on to the City Manager Golf Tournament. This is first of its kind. It's the inaugural City Managers Golf Tournament. And when I talked to Mr. Kabler about it, I said, you know, we got to do something for you. I know the Chief of Police gets his golf tournament, and Judge Costco gets his golf tournaments. All these people get their golf tournaments. But you know what? The city manager, you know, and he wouldn't do it without this tournament being for a good cause. And one thing I know and I appreciate about Mr. Kabler is that he's for children. Him and I just click in a way that we want to provide stuff for the kids of Brownsville. As you know, Boys and Girls Club in Brownsville no longer exists. It's a shame. It's disappointing that there's no Boys and Girls Club in Brownsville for these kids to participate in all these programs. Well, the city of Brownsville has taken an aggressive approach to keep up these programs, and it costs money. You know, we went from maybe 30 teams in the late 1980s, late 1990s, to we're over to what, 68 basketball teams now. We have, you know, we're taking over soccer now. We're doing a lot of things to make sure the kids have the programs, you know, the cultural stuff that we have at Gonzalez Park. You know, that's amazing. And I thank Chris Patterson for that and Tuffy Martinez. We have aggressive people in these areas now that want to help children grow. And the city of Brownsville has had to pick up that responsibility of providing stuff for the youth in Brownsville. And I know every commissioner here feels the same way I do, that we got to support that. So the golf tournament is July 18th. The proceeds from that golf tournament is going to go toward the youth athletic program. And this youth athletic program, the funds that will be allocated there are going to go to all the different programs we have for the children of Brownsville, because there's no you know, people tell me the stories about the Boys and Girls Club, how that used to be a prestigious board in Brownsville. That used to be a board to get on, the Boys and Girls Club, and you'd have big names on this Boys and Girls Club, and these people were tasked to reach out to businesses in Brownsville and get their support for the youth. We no longer have that. So what we're doing here is trying to generate this golf tournament to benefit the youth in Brownsville. So I hope everybody finds a way to figure out to play the tournament or help out in the tournament any way they can. And I hope to see you on July 18th. I'm sure Charlie Cabot will hit a ball. I don't think you've ever hit a golf. I mean, he's amazing with a softball bat, but you know, but I don't know how you do with a golf club.
I'll wing it.
He'll wing it. Well, I wanted to touch on that, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next item is proclamations. Kedmont, 6th grade basketball team.
they had a double header tonight, so they called me while I was in the, coming over here that they weren't going to be able to make it today, and they'd like to postpone it till the next meeting.
We'll do it next meeting. Mark Matty?
Mr. Mark Matty?
Here.
Go down.
Want to go down?
Any Transit Advisory Committee members that are here, please join Mark.
It's truly an honor to be able to read this today and present this to Mark for his community service. He's also one of my fellow educators, so that's also in a very special way to read this proclamation today. The following is a proclamation to the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, commending Mark Moody, PhD, on his dedication to community service. Whereas Mark Matty is a native of Greensburg, Indiana, born February 2nd, 1962, but has left an indelible shadow on Brownsville. And whereas Mark Matty received his Bachelor's of Science degree from Phillips University in Enid, Oklahoma in 1985, his Master's of Education from the University of Texas at Brownsville in 1999, and his Doctor of Education from Fielding Graduate University in Santa Barbara, California in 2007. And whereas since arriving in Brownsville, Mark Matty has involved himself in many community service activities, educational endeavors, and currently works as an elementary school counselor for the Brownsville Independent School District. And whereas Mark Matty is a member of the American Association of People with Disabilities and has also involved himself with the Americans with Disabilities Act, including participation in training for others so involved. And whereas Mark Matty has, for the past 15 years, served as chairman of the Transit Advisory Committee for the Brownsville Urban System and has provided invaluable service to that agency and to the citizens of Brownsville, and also from 2003 to the present time has been a member of the Public Transit Advisory Committee for Texas Transportation Commission. And whereas Mark Matty deserves recognition and a collective thank you from the people of Brownsville for his dedication to the community service. Now therefore we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, and on behalf of all our citizens, do hereby commend Mark Matty, PhD, for his record of community service and community involvement in our city, done on this 16th day of June 2009, signed Panama the Mayor and the City Commission. Thank you, Mark.
Well, you shouldn't ask me to say a few words because it's not. I do want to say thank you to the Commission, and I want to say a special thank you to Norma and all of the people who work at Brownsville Urban System. They do a fantastic job. You know, Brownsville, when I moved here in 1987, it was the only community in the valley that had transportation. And that was part of the reason I moved here, was so that I could have transportation. At that time, I was taking some classes to get a second degree in accounting, which I put on the back burner a long time ago. But, you know, I'm a lifelong learner, and I always will be. And it is an honor to receive this, and it's an honor to have been a member of the Brownsville Transit Advisory Committee, as well as the State Transit Advisory Committee. And it is bittersweet that I'm getting this today, because in a little over a month from now, I will actually be moving away from this fair city to take a job as a professor of educational psychology at the University of Central Oklahoma. So I'm no longer going to be a member of this community, but I will take fond memories with me as I leave.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, before we start, if I could interrupt real quick, I had received a letter from Mr. Claudio Ortiz. He was given a proclamation last week, and he sent us a letter thanking us. I don't know if you'd mind if I interrupt and read the letter.
We're supposed to be ADA compliant. We're in trouble. You need to lose some weight, Mark. Okay. Commissioner Annie.
Sure. One of the last things that Commissioner Garza did was he had made a proclamation for Claudio Ortiz. Mr. Ortiz is one of the founders of Lindell Medical Laboratory, and Mr. Ortiz came to my office about mid last week and had delivered me a letter that he wanted to read to the entire commission, and it's dated June 3rd, 2009, and it's to the Commission of the City of Brownsville. Thank you one and all for the recognition you gave me on June 2nd, 2009. I was raised in the downtown area. My dad had a shop on Adams Street, just across from Washington Park. During the winter, we would go to and play in the lobby of the post office building. Through the years, a lot of people have touched my heart, but never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that one day I would be so humbled and at the same time so honored in the same building by such a distinguished group as you, consisting of such a broad group of different and diversified backgrounds. I want to especially thank Mr. Leonel Garza for his having nominated me for this proclamation. I also, as a private citizen and a member of a family that has been here since the first decades of the 1700s, want to deeply thank you for your work as city commissioners, for all the countless hours that you have dedicated for the citizens of Brownsville and for the betterment of our community. Thank you. And then he lists Mr. Leonel Garza, myself, Mr. Oscar Cisneros, Mr. Ricardo Longoria, Mr. Edward Camarillo, Mr. Charlie Atkinson, and Mr. Pat Almada, and I assume it was Carlos Cisneros. And gentlemen, respectfully yours, Claudio J. Ortiz. And he had asked me to read that. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz.
Thank you. Our best wishes to Claudio Ortiz, sir. I want to do item 5 and then move up item 14, because we have a lot of people here waiting for item 14. On item 5, I'd like item C to be taken out for discussion, but can I have a motion to approve all the other consent items, but take item C?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to take out item C by Commissioner Longoria, second by Commissioner Camarillo, and approval for the rest, the remainder. Is that right?
So we can still approve C after you discuss,
Yes, right. But first we're going to take out C, okay? Is that okay? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Can we take item C?
Consent agenda items A through H minus letter C.
Can we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now, item C.
Item C, approval on second and final reading of ordinance number 2009-898-BB, an ordinance to amend Chapter 74, Parks and Recreation of the City Code of Ordinances by amending Section 74.3 fees and charges for use of facilities at specific parks, Section 74.9 alcoholic beverages, and adding Section 74.17 fees and dealing with related matters.
Okay. The reason I asked that this be taken out is because I've heard from citizens who have expressed their concern that right now, the way things are, during the summers particularly, we're living in tough times economically, and although this is a good idea to upgrade our fees, perhaps our timing is a little off. Perhaps it'd be a good idea to visit this next year. As far as the fees right now, people need access to the parks. You know, one of the things I've heard is, look, we pay taxes to have them built, and right now we're going through tough economic times, and perhaps it could hold back and wait a while before they start implementing additional fees for the use of the parks there. So based on that, I'd like the commission to consider postponing upgrading the fees till perhaps further down the road.
Mayor.
Commissioner.
And this goes back to what we're talking about with the city's aggressiveness in providing projects for kids. If you and your family go to a park and you're not part of an organization, you should be able to get on these fields without anybody telling you anything. It's for you, that's why you pay taxes. But if you're an organization like Little League or Boyza, or an organization that comes in and says, I want all these 11 soccer fields, and I want nobody else to play on them. I want them all year round. I don't think we're doing justice to the other 160,000 people in this city that want to be able to go out there anytime they want and participate on a soccer field or on a baseball field. And so these leagues are saying, look, the charge of fees isn't going to everybody in Brownsville, Mayor. It's going toward organizations. Now, if the organizations want to twist it and tell parents, hey, they want to charge you more, that's the organization. But we found that most of these organizations have to pay fees to Pony League up there in Austin. They have to pay thousands of dollars to be part of a bigger organization that comes all the way down. Well, we're saying, but look, you want to give Pony, or you want to give Rio Visa, or you want to give all these other entities at a higher level all these fees that they're requiring you to pay. You come use our fields and you destroy them, and you don't think this, and your taxes have to pay to redo the grass. Your taxes have to pay to redo the lines, the lighting out there. The lighting's not free. It comes out of your taxes. So why are we going to let an organization take, like they did at Oliveda? And you know what? You know, some people are like, Charlie, you're going against boys of 400 kids and their families. It's not about, yes, I want to work with them, and they are using Oliveda Park, but we also got to think of everybody else that don't have kids in these organizations. And mind you, these fees are going toward people that want to put their kids in these organizations. Right now, the city's being aggressive to have soccer coming out of the city, and we're going to charge half the price that some of these organizations are charging. So it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just we're one of the last cities to charge fees and sports park. And we heard a lot of hype on the sports park and how much we spent. Well, now you have people at the sports park that want to generate revenues out there to give back, so we don't have to raise taxes. Either we raise taxes in a year from now, which everybody knows in a year we're going to be hurting. It's either we're going to raise taxes or we find other ways, and we charge fees for people that want their kid to play on a championship grass. You know what? They have, at that sports park, there's 46 acres that they can play on free. Nobody charges them there. They can practice on there, and they don't have to play we don't charge to play the games on there either. See, a lot of these people, these organizations, they strive on the concession stands. They make a lot of money off these concession stands, and they don't tell you that. You know, Boyza, we figured out they're making $2,000 a week, and they're out at Oliveda Park 11 months out of the year. And they rented Oliveda Park for $1 for a year, and they can dictate who gets on that field. They won't even let city maintenance go in there and fix those fields because they can't afford to stop playing. We've already tried. Hey, get off Oliveda for a year. Let's fix it up because it is damaged, but they're not willing to give up what they make in fees. They're not willing to give up what they make in the concession stand. So that's where it comes from, is giving Mr. Patterson and his staff the equipment, the revenues they need, because the first thing that's going to get cut, Mayor, is Parks and Rec. Because when push comes to shove, you don't need to have lights open at Oliveda Park. You don't need lights on if we're going to start pinching the penny. So these guys have been tasked to look for different ways to avoid us having to come and raise taxes. It comes different ways, you know what I mean? And I think you should support this because you're not getting the full Monty on what these people do and how they do it and how they make a lot of money off the children of Brownsville. And what we want to do is cut these things in half and let the city provide these programs for the kids. And you know, if you want to add something, Charlie.
Well, I mean, this ordinance is stating that we're amending. It's not saying we're increasing. There could be decreases or increases depending on the activity that's occurring in our parks. But obviously, we need to make sure that we are taking care of the parks, especially the new parks we're upgrading and the newer park we just opened. The idea is that in some of these events and some of these activities, they are charging the kids already. We're not going to charge them more than what they're charging the kids, but obviously we do need to find a mechanism to allow us to maintain and keep the fields safe and usable for the children that are going to participate, or any adult activity. Traditionally, we have always charged for activities relating to adults, softball and things like that. We need to enhance accountability on the part of anyone that's using our fields and assure ourselves that they're being used for the right cause. I mean, you discussed the idea that the Boys and Girls Club are no longer in our city, and I feel that they're no longer in our city because they abused funding that they were collecting for those children. And when we took over, we saw that, and we realized that instead of having 8 teams for, like you said, for basketball, we have over 100 now. We're not in the business of making money when we are utilizing our parks for recreation, but obviously we need to find ways to assure ourselves that nobody else is making an unusual amount of money, and that we are utilizing some of their funding that they're receiving from children and that we're not, to account for repair and upkeep of our parks. And that's the reason for this section of C. But Chris can expound on that as well.
I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt. Commissioner Atkinson said, as I know, because my kids used to play there's a lot of money made on concessions. Do we charge a percentage of the concessions that are brought in?
No, ma'am. We don't charge anything to the
Have you considered doing that rather than raising fees?
We've considered a lot of things, and basically one of my duties, and I hope I don't run this too long, but one of my duties when I became Parks and Rec Director in January was to look through all the ordinances. And I was surprised to see there was no ordinance about horse-drawn or carriages, because some of those ordinances are from years ago. And one of the issues with Parks and Rec is that we don't have to recreate the wheel. We go to our state conferences, we learn from other cities, and one of the biggest things that I learned was that these leagues are starting to become businesses. Before, you used to have parents out there, and they'd give their own money. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there in the community that could look back and say, man, I used to give $500 a year to have my kid play. They put hours in kind. Right now, since it's a business, we have to regulate who comes into our town. We have USSSA, various sports across the country. They know Brownsville's a hit. So we are looking into that. Concession is a real big business. We do look into the books. We're going to start working with the finance department in our new provisions that we're going to create. But I do want to, I've got a lot to say, but I'm going to make it very brief here. I looked at all the fees, and if anybody understands, it's my duty as a Parks and Rec Director to ensure that the community pays what's due, not what we feel is what's due. I'm the creator, founder of the Midnight Basketball Program over 8 years ago, and no kid paid. It was free. And to this day, it's still free, except the fact that they have to go out and get a sponsor. That's all they have to do. A child can get on a team. They do not have to pay an individual fee. Now, if it's changed, I have some people to talk to then, because that's the way that we wanted it, and that's the way it's going to continue. But to make it very clear, I'll give you one specific example. There's over 100 fees in Parks and Recreation. And based on the way it is in the ordinance right now, I would have to come to the commission for every fee or user rate that I'd like to change. I don't really want to be up here 100 times or 50 times. But the barbecue oven at Dean Porter Park, if someone's seen that, it's a great oven. It's 400 pounds of chicken. It can do it one time. That costs $600 to rent. I didn't set that fee. I'm actually embarrassed by the fee, but I'm not trying to put someone down who created it. But that's way too high. And if you ask any citizens out here, I bet there's not one person here that chooses that grill. So I can't say how much I want to reduce it, but it's enough to where I have to tell my people, and they come to me and say, we're using that grill again? We're tired of using this thing. Every day people use it. That's kind of a short idea is what we're trying to do. There are a lot of fees that I just want to do away with that I don't think need to be charged. I need to meet with the city manager like I do on a daily basis and discuss these things.
And I think that
Commissioner, let him finish. Okay, before you recognize Commissioner. Look, I said I support this. I just think the timing is bad. Because right now, we are living during tough times. I don't think the time is to raise taxes either right now. We've got to get through this. Hopefully another year, we can come back and look at this and implement what you want to do. But you don't even know where you want to cut and where you want to raise and all that stuff. I think you should come before us with a line item of identifying where you want to raise and where you want to cut before we do something like this. I'm just saying that we should make it as feasible as possible for the citizens to use the park, especially right now when they can't afford to go on vacations and they can't do the things they used to do because of the recession. And I know some teams charge their fees based on what we charge also. So if we go up, they're going to go up or whatever to cover the cost. And all I'm saying is the timing is perhaps premature. Not that it's a bad idea. I understand what you're trying to do. I'm just saying the time. That's all I'm saying.
Mayor, can I clarify myself?
Yes, let him respond.
I'd like to clarify just one thing. On the user rates, I have the line items that I'd like to do, and once this passed, if it was to pass, I was going to sit down with the city manager. I'm almost 100% sure I don't recall any growth in rates here. I'm not trying to increase any fees at this time.
We don't know that. We don't know what you're doing.
I understand, sir.
I would like to see that.
Okay. Because we have the new facilities that don't have fees. They don't have fees established yet because we haven't had the approval. And that's what I wanted to do is make sure we had it approved so that the city could...
Commissioner Train?
One of the things that I was approached with earlier today was the sale of alcohol on the parks. And I think there's some confusion about the permission that we're going to allow, because when you read the ordinance, it indicates that the sale of alcohol is unlawful except under certain circumstances. And I think that I had received at least 2 calls today, and one person actually came into my office, and they were concerned that we were going to open up the parks basically as a beer concession. And I explained to them that was not the case, but I think there is that impression. And if you can kind of explain what your idea was as far as the sale of, it's just going to be beer, it's not going to be liquor, it's just correct?
Correct. If you look at the ordinance, and I know we don't have it in front of us, but the ordinance says Morningside Park. This ordinance has been for some time, and I apologize for not knowing when the ordinance was last updated, but just by the name of Morningside Park alone, you have the Ringgold Civic Pavilion, the Event Center, the Golf Center, Sports Park. We could keep going on and on. I felt that those facilities need to be added by law or by ordinance. They need to be in and reflected. We, by no means, the City Parks and Recreation Department is going to go after a TABC license as far as with any of those facilities. The sports park is the only facility that's on the table right now because of the venues that are coming to the city. That needs to be discussed a little further. But it needs to reflect it in the ordinance. I didn't see it in there. There's no increase of anything, but if someone wants to come into the Civic Pavilion, have a function that has alcohol, if you go to the ordinance, it's not in there. And by ordinance, I don't know if I wanted to make sure it's one of the first things I saw, probably the first 2 weeks I was in my position. And I think it needs to be in there. And again, I know the whole reason why I brought this forth is because I wanted to make sure that whatever I'm doing, my department's doing, is in accordance with the ordinance. I was a law enforcement officer before, and I can tell you right now that everything we did, you could go to a book and say that's how it's supposed to be done. And I'm kind of taking that same step here to protect the city, protect the citizens, and protect everyone.
I have the floor.
Commissioner Lombardi?
Under Texas Alcohol and Beverage Commission laws, they need their catering license to be able to do it in one of our events. That's our protection. But I do certainly agree with the recommendation that you have brought before us so that we may charge that fee before anybody brings in their catering license under TABC into one of our places.
I would like that because we need to regulate our facilities. Just it needs to be in the ordinances. That's why I brought it up.
And one of the things I just want to make,
Wait a second, Commissioner Atkins?
Well, go ahead, I'll yield to Mr. Trent.
apologies. I guess one of the things I just want to make sure is, and for the public, was that it's not going to be open for sales on a regular basis. It's going to be for specific events when we have tournaments or when there's an event at, let's say, the Camille Playhouse or something along those lines, correct?
Correct. And I mean, if you have a wine and cheese event over at the Camille Playhouse, it's not in the ordinance. The golf center has a license, actual license, and they're allowed to sell beer there, beer and wine. I just want to make sure the ordinance is followed, and that's all this is for. And again, Mayor, I don't want to increase fees right now. I don't want to do any of that, so
Mayor.
I appreciate it.
And I just want to remind the people that these fees are toward the organization, not toward the kids. And, you know, that's the misperception. I think people are telling you, oh, you're going to charge my kid. No.
But it affects what the kids...
No, it doesn't. Because now the city's offering soccer at half price, what other organizations are charging. With that, I'd like to just motion to approve this
Well, Commissioner,
item.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Just one. You know, and similar to Commissioner Troyani's about the sports park and the beer, security. I know, Chris, you and I spoke over the weekend and didn't have a chance to go to the event on Saturday, but when beer was being sold at the concession, and you know, somebody said, well, you all don't have any policemen or guard in that softball field area concession where that's being sold. What is the deal? Everyone's at at the concert and so forth. I guess, and I read here 1 per every 25 or one guard per every 50 individuals that are in the area. You know, obviously we'll continue to maintain that because I think security is an issue. If beer's being sold, and I think that's important. It's great. Everybody wants to have a good time, but we also want to make sure that we are safe, and that if there is an issue to arise for whatever reason, that somebody can be in there to help maintain order.
I agree.
We had over 50 officers at the sports park this weekend. 31 of ours. We had constables, security officers were hired. Our security company was there. We had that place well secured.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Just a quick cautionary note. I did attend the sports park event, and it was wonderful. And they did serve alcoholic beverages, but at the same time, on the other side of the park, there was a softball tournament. My concern is that, yes, you can have dual events, but let's make sure we don't have some children's event or someone who cannot purchase alcohol. It's just the commingling of an adult activity with a children's activity concerns me.
Commissioner, I side with you on that. Just to clarify, the softball tournament was part of the festival. They called it a music spectacular. We decided to have that. Sometimes it increases traffic because you'll have 1,000 people at the softball field, and that people want to go see that event. One of the things we did discuss, and I will not allow this, but anytime there's adult events going on as far as tournaments or the sale of alcohol, there will be no youth tournaments. Now, that's not written yet, but that's something we discussed over the weekend, so I appreciate the comment.
I would like to do this if it's possible, because I do want to support amending the alcoholic beverage ordinance 74.9. Can we do this in 2 motions, one for the amendment of the 74.9 and then the one for the recreation fees? Can we do that, City Attorney?
You're trying to divide it up, Mayor?
City Attorney.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I don't understand the
I
question.
want to support amending the alcoholic beverage ordinance 74.9. I don't feel comfortable with...
Mayor, can you use your mic, please?
Pardon me?
Can you use your mic? Can you have your mic?
I don't feel comfortable with voting for the entire proposal here. Can we separate them or not?
You can separate them by motion. Yeah,
Okay.
I had a motion though
Okay.
for years.
No, you have not been recognized. I'll make the motion to amend the 74.9 alcoholic beverages to pass first and then vote on the other one. Can I have a second? Okay, there's dice for lack of a second, so...
Can I make a motion to approve C and entrust the city manager and the parks director to look at this ordinance and to abide and use discretion to enforce what we want to do in this ordinance?
Okay. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, I cannot, without knowing exactly what you're doing, I cannot in good conscience support it.
I understand.
But I do support what you're doing, okay? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Can we have a motion to move item 14?
So moved.
We have a motion to move item 14. Can we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 14, City Secretary.
Did you need for me to read item 14?
Item 14.
15, I'm sorry. Item 15, consideration and action to award a term contract for delinquent ad valorem
Oh,
tax.
I'm sorry, that's not the item. It was, I'm talking about the item with the tax collection. Which one is that?
That's the one.
That's the one.
I withdraw my motion on 14.
I'm sorry. Withdraw the motion? Okay, can we have a second to withdraw the motion? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Which item is that?
15, sir.
Item
15? Okay, 15.
Item 15,
Can
consideration
we
and
have a motion
action
to
to
bring it
award
up?
a term contract.
I need a
Sorry.
motion to bring
So
it up.
moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Camarillo. Can we have a
Second.
Second by Commissioner Terriani. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Now, item 15, I apologize, I didn't have my glasses.
Item 15, consideration and action to award a term contract for delinquent ad valorem tax collection services for the city of Brownsville.
Mayor, I move to approve and contract with the firm of Bang & Associates because they're local and because they're with BISD and they have been proven to be a good firm.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second? Do we have a second? It dies for lack of a second. Did you want to present something? Did you want to say something, Pete?
I'd like to hear from Pete.
Let's hear what Pete has to say, please, first, before we entertain any motions.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, as was discussed earlier during the workshop, this is the next item that we're going to discuss, and that's the criteria score sheet. And we had five areas that we were going to be looking at, and we were grading with a maximum points of 10, 20, 25, 15, 10, 20, giving us 100 points. The first one being the overall cost to the city and taxpayers, and as you recall, there is no cost to the city, but only to the delinquent taxpayer. That was 10 points. And then the second one, tax collection experience, demonstrated results, overall experience, and reputation of the firm. The third was capability of the firm in the areas of legal personnel, support personnel, data processing capabilities, and a spectrum of services to be offered to prospective clients. Comprehensive services beyond delinquent tax collections will be considered an advantage. Number 4, demonstrated ability to handle a large number of clients of all sizes and other types of tax and jurisdictions such as the cities, et cetera, et cetera. And clarity and quality of proposal and supporting data. And finally, total property tax related support service provided from the city. The next slide shows the scoring that was done by the committee members, Mr. Chavez, Mr. Granado, Mr. Izaguirre, Mr. Chose, and I. And those scores are listed there on that particular slide. We had an average score of, for Peña and Associates of 80.4. Linebarger came in at 95. McCreary with 92, and then Purdue at 88.6. And again, like I said earlier during the workshop, it was all of the law firms that submitted proposals are qualified, but this is our grading that each member did after listening to their presentations and reviewing the proposals that were submitted. We took it a point because this has come up regarding, and this is information that we have from the school district and the city. We can cover the school district, and by the way, this is information that was supplied to us by the county tax office, who also collects for the school district. The first the top part of that slide shows the collections from July 3rd, 2007 through June 2nd, 2008. These are the BISD collections for that particular period. They start off with a delinquent receivable account of $13,437,3550. There are some adjustments that are made by the appraisal district of $206,000. It was a reduction. So that gave an adjusted levy or receivable to be collected of $13,223,943.53. The base tax collected over this period was $5,189,736.20. Of that, there were some refunds that were made of $179,204.83. There was also some insufficient fund checks that have been that were deducted for the total net collected for this particular period of $4,971,129.12. If you look at the percentage, not necessarily the amount that's being collected, but the percentage was 59.59. If you look at the current year, from July 1st, 2008 through June 1st, 2009, the school district had a delinquent receivable of $12,450,445.38. There were some adjustments down the line. There were some refunds, NSF checks. Net collected $4,073,661.05. So there was a decrease between those 2 years of 2% on the particular firm of Peña. You look at, and this is just information that we only have, and this is the city, from July 3rd through June 2nd, we started with a receivable amount on delinquencies of $6,232,489.84. There were some adjustments from the appraisal district of $89,901.43. Adjusted levy or receivable $6,142,588. The base tax collected was $2,461,427, and there were some adjustments, refunds, and checks, NSF checks. Total net collected was $2,352,202.70 for that period for the city, which is 38.29%. That was last year. If you look at this year, for that period, July 2008 through June 1st of 2009, you had a receivable of $6,549,469. To make a long story short, I'll go ahead and just look at the percentage of collections for this year. It's 40.17. So Lineberger shows an increase of 1.88%. Now, the committee rated Lineberger with a score of 95, followed by McCurry at 92, close second. Purdue came in at 88.6, and Peña came in at 80.4. The committee, this is the committee's, felt that the Lineberger firm has had strong delinquent property tax collections in the last 2 years, as was shown on the previous slide, and because of this performance as well as the experience, the committee recommends that we award the contract to Lineberger to be effective July 1st, 2009, and that's it.
Mayor.
Ask a question.
One at a time. Commissioner Triani.
Pete, this would be, the term of the contract would be 3 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. You go ahead.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Pete, we talked earlier in the week, and I told you I had some concerns about some of the committee members. And you had Tony Zaguirre, who has advocated for Lineberger before he was put on that committee. And he was put on that committee, and everybody knows he shouldn't have been on that committee because he receives donations in the past from some of these firms that are on there. And I don't think it was right for him to be on that committee when you're trying to get a fair, if you see what he did, he rated the way he rated, and I think if we're ever going to move forward and get out of the shadow of the county, I think it was wrong to put somebody there who's already told you that he's okay with whoever we pick, but then it is asked to be put on this committee where he, these numbers that you put up at BISD, if you would have gone back to 2005, 2006, 2007, well, Peña in 2008 did outstanding. That's why BISD has been happy with him. Yes, if these people know out here, the ones that do this, you go in your first year, you go after the big elephant hunters, the big ones that haven't been paying their taxes, And he did that. And he exceeded the last 2 years, 2005, 2006, and 2007. Well, after you go collect from the big dogs, you have the little dogs. And yes, it went down a little bit this next year, but it wasn't because he's not being effective. We had the economy, and he had gone after the big businesses that weren't paying their taxes. So it's unfair to just go back 1 year when you should have gone back 5 years, and you could have seen the significant change that BISD made and why they made the choice they made over there. You know, I think it's kind of misleading to have somebody on a committee like that who's already stated before he was even put on that committee that he wanted Lineberger. I don't agree with that. I don't know why the city staff allowed him to be on there. You know what I mean? I just don't see how that was appropriate.
I can answer that question. The reason why he was chosen, Commissioner.
Well, I know why he was chosen, but it still doesn't make
allow him to respond. I mean, don't cut him off. Allow him to
I don't know why
respond.
you chose.
Go ahead.
No, we chose him because he has been doing the collections for us since 1988. We do not have a tax office here in the city. He is familiar with the current taxes that are being collected and the delinquent taxes that are being collected. Cameron County has awarded contracts to, because we were part of the, so to speak, team. It's like other taxing entities. The only taxing entity that it has separated from the county has been the school district,
Exactly.
and us being obviously the second time around.
You know, and the only concern
we do not apparently we do not participate in any of the collections for both current and delinquencies.
Exactly.
So
And here we talk about, let me finish up. Here we talk about, and this commission is changing, we're putting people on this board to hold people accountable. We want fairness in the city, and it's always been run in a way where these guys are here, nobody else can bid, nobody else can have a fair shake in the city. You know what I mean? I look out in the crowd and I see ex-elected officials out there. I see an ex-state rep out there. I mean, there's ties to this group that I don't like that shouldn't make it, I mean, it's overwhelming how you know, it's just disappointing that the committee and the persons in that committee rated the way when you had one of them who receives funds as a conflict of interest. You know what I mean? And I disagree with that. And I look out in the crowd, I see a lot of good people, but I also see ex-state reps. Hey, you know, is it about control or what is it? When are we gonna? That's why we decided to take it away from the county. A long time ago, an ex-county judge thought it was better for his stroke and his ego to control 3 entities, which made it more appealing to these firms to, hey, take care of me when my election
we're
comes
only
around.
interested in the taxpayer.
Exactly.
That's what
Exactly. Well, we got to get away from that. People want transparency at home. This is what you're getting. It's the fact that this commission can sit here and choose a firm without any political
ties.
Ties, exactly.
We can work with any firm.
Okay, thank you, Pete. Commissioner Triani.
This is a 3-year contract, and we're looking at the system that we have in place right now. We're in tough economic times. You're concerned about meeting our budget for the upcoming year, right? And based on that, based on the fact that we have a firm right now that has made a significant investment in our community, employs a significant number of people in our community that work within this city and within our community and have done so for the past 25 years, I would move to approve the contract with Linebarger at this time, and we'll see what happens in 3 years. I have the utmost respect for Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Pena, but given what you've presented us, what the rating is, what the criteria was, at this time, I'd move to renew the contract.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussion?
Yes, I would like to make a few comments. Prior to coming to this meeting, this is all I had to make this decision today. This is a multi-million-dollar decision to make. I do not have enough information. I cannot gauge from a 1-hour presentation from 4 firms. I cannot provide an educated choice right now. I would ask that we respectfully table this decision So at least myself, I don't know how Dr. Gowan feels, but I need more time to investigate these firms, to educate myself so that I can make the best decision possible.
You can abstain if you like. We have a motion. You can abstain if you like. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote on this. Lineberger, Gogan, Blair, and Sampson. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
You got 2 nays. Are you abstaining?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so it passes.
No,
Did you?
Yes.
You voted yes. Yeah.
there was only 3, though. You need 4.
No.
Well,
you need
myself,
3. Your
Mr.
majority.
Camarillo, Dr. Gowan.
And who else?
That's only 3.
There's 3, but you abstained. She abstained.
But you still need a 4 vote.
It's your vote.
You need the 4th vote?
Yes. It is 4 votes.
Based on the presentations I saw here and seeing the people that are from Brownsville employed here, I believe that I think in this instance the staff's recommendation based on their rating and experience that I will support the motion to hire Lineberger. So that's the 4th vote. Okay? Let's go back to next item. And I want to say all the firms that made a presentation were very good. Thank you for participating and taking the time. Thank you. Okay, so we're back to item 6.
Item 6, consideration and action to appoint a citizen to the Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee.
Okay, we have an appointment.
Mr. Atkinson, this is your appointment. I believe you're recommending Ms. Melissa Arzmendi.
Yes, I'd like to take this time to appoint Melissa Arzmendi to this board.
Second.
Who?
Melissa Arzmendi. Melinda, I'm sorry.
Melinda.
Is that the commissioner's appointment?
Yeah.
That's
Okay. Okay,
Second.
we have the application. We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? All opposed? I mean, any discussion? No discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.
Item 7, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2009-1505 to authorize the City of Brownsville to enter into an interlocal cooperation agreement with the City of Port Isabel, settling any issues between the 2 cities with Brownsville extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Honorable Mayor, Honorable City Commissioners, we've toiled to this agreement many days, thanks to Mr. Saucy and his patience with us as staff, getting this item correct, Allison as well. But I believe we have an agreement before you that we, staff can agree on. Hopefully you can agree as well. Basically, this is our last interlocal agreement for the ETJ alignment that we have done with the other cities. This is with Port Isabel. Do you want to add more comments to that, Mr. Saucy?
I can. Basically, what we have here is we have a situation where there is still a pending disagreement between the cities as to what ETJ Brownsville will choose to voluntarily relinquish. This ETJ is part of Brownsville's ETJ simply by virtue of the 5-mile limit to the ETJ. You will recall that earlier there was some discussion about strips and the extension of ETJ by virtue of these thin northward strips. I would suggest that even if you took away these strips, and they didn't exist, which would be the effect of the legislation, that the area around Long Island would still be covered by Brownsville's 5-mile ETJ, so the legislation would really have no effect on this. This is an issue. This is Brownsville putting their best foot forward to work with their neighbors. Very early, and I think one of the first versions of the agreement, there was some discussion about the limits, the southern limit of Port Isabel's extended ETJ extending south to the center of the Brownsville Ship Channel. This was immediately discussed early in May with the City of Port Isabel, and every subsequent agreement that went back and forth between Port Isabel and us didn't have that language in it. All right. In fact, throughout the course of these discussions, the context of the conversations I've had with every person for Port Isabel has always been, all we're talking about is we need room to grow. The words ship channel, the words Port of Brownsville, these things were never mentioned, okay? So one of the aspects of this agreement is that there's a shotgun deadline, so to speak. If you look at letter H, it says execution deadline. We're going to give Port Isabel until July 30th to approve this agreement. And if they don't, this agreement will be void.
Well, how will that affect us with the other municipalities that we entered into an agreement? Because the threat was that legislation would be passed, okay, to force us to accept these proposals. Now, if we don't sign an agreement, and the primary one was Port Isabel, I think, one of the key players. If we don't reach an agreement with Port Isabel, I know that the legislation is not in session now, but I think it's going to have a special session. I don't know if they can introduce a bill.
I'm very familiar with it.
Okay. How will it affect the other agreements?
Okay, first of all, this doesn't affect the other agreements. Every agreement that we have entered into with any other entity stands alone on itself.
Yeah, but what's to prevent the senator to come and say, okay, you did not enter into agreement with Port Isabel, therefore I'm going to enter?
Second of all, the legislative session is not, the legislature is not in session as of last Monday.
Right.
The governor may call a special session on certain issues dealing with appropriations. But this is a local bill and it will not come up.
Okay.
So realistically, this issue would not come up before the legislature could not come up until 2011.
For 2 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Any
questions?
The only thing that I would ask is, and I know Mr. Troiani had raised this as an issue, I thought it was an interesting point, I kind of heard about it through Ben Medina, is what happens if the Brownsville Navigation District the borders were to change. So I'm going to ask for, if you look at number, let's see, on the top of the second page, where it says it is stipulated, just two changes, it is stipulated that the boundaries of ETJ are fixed with the execution of this agreement, and that they shall not, insert the word not, be affected in the event that property is sold or conveyed by the Brownsville Navigation District. So I would ask that you simply approve it with that change.
Change? Okay.
Yes.
Can we have a motion subject to that
I'd
change?
move to approve, subject to the change.
Subject to the same change. Commissioner Troiani, and second by Commissioner Atkinson. Any further discussion?
Do we
This
have
is
any
to close the public hearing. Pardon me?
No representatives from Port Isabel?
I don't see anybody here. This is to close the public hearing.
So moved. Move to
Okay.
close.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The motion, subject to the changes?
I would move to approve, subject to that change.
Subject to the changes, second by Commissioner Atkinson. Any further discussion?
I just would like to say that obviously we want to work with Port Isabel, but at the same time we want to protect our interests and we'll make sure that we have something that's workable for both communities.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Approved, subject to the changes. Mr. Saucy. Okay, item 8.
Item 8, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2009-1200.137 to accept a voluntary petition for annexation from Union Design Developers LP to annex 12.864 acres into the municipal boundaries of the city of Brownsville.
Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, this is a owner-initiated petition for annexation of property on 281. The property is currently owned by the applicant in this petition is Albert Castillo. My understanding is that he would like to eventually create a single-family residence on this site and wants to be part of the city of Brownsville. The engineer for the applicant is here, Mr. Chavez.
May I ask a question?
And the property is immediately adjacent to the new high school on 281 that's under construction, and the property is right here. This is Military Highway, west of Brownsville. This is the ISD property. The property is immediately adjacent to that and to the west side of the high school.
Okay.
Ben, when we talked earlier, you had said that now you're talking about single-family residences, but before you said you weren't sure. Is there a plat or something that would indicate the nature of the housing that they're going to put in there?
No, there's no plat at this time. Mr. Chavez, you want to answer that question? What type of housing would please come up?
I mean, I'd like to have something set in stone that, this is what we're getting and it's not going to change to, multifamily or what have you. I mean, if you're saying single family, I'd like to have single family.
Well, they have to go through the P&Z to get approval, don't they? They're within our ETJ as it is, Ben?
We control subdivisions in the
Anything
ETJ.
that they build has to go through our planning and zoning, doesn't it?
Not sure, no, sir, but we do control subdivisions in the ETJ.
Okay.
Members of the Commission, my name is Oscar Chavez, and I'm with Chavez Aromir Design. And what the developer is planning to do here, it's single-family housing, and he's planning to do a gated community.
But, I mean, I guess my concern is it's my understanding that there's nothing that is set, that this is in fact single-family residences, and that this is simply a proposal, and that there's no plat, there's no diagram of what the subdivision would look like, is my understanding. If you have something else, I'd like to see it, because I think we'd all like to. That wasn't included in the packet.
Correct. No, we don't. We do have a plat showing the size of the lots, but we didn't present that as part of the application.
Well, it's something I'd like to see. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
We have jurisdiction as to what is built there. They're in our ETJ.
The city of Brownsville has jurisdiction on approving a subdivision plat.
Right.
With lot sizes.
So anything that he does has to be subject to our approval.
Well, once it comes into the city, we'll automatically have a default zoning of dwelling.
Right.
Anything else, apartment use or commercial use, it would have to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission, get approval, and then before.
But it'll be zoned for single family, and he just has to get approval of the plat to make sure that the lots meet the criteria of P&Z.
Once it comes into the city and it's finally approved after 3 public hearings, it will have the default zoning of dwelling.
Yeah. So
Dwelling
that's
Z.
taken care of, yeah.
Okay.
That's taken care of.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, it is public hearing. And it expands our tax base, and also they will, I think, help get that sewer line to BISD. Is that right, Ben?
This is for sewer. It's duly zoned by the Valley Mud and PUB. I do not know what the applicant's intention is of getting utilities, but they would have, if it does come into the city, they will have, they will have PUB services.
Okay. Electricity and sewer?
Electricity. BISD, for example, hasn't, my understanding, last time they hadn't really decided as to if it was the Valley Mud or PUB.
And it expands our tax base. Okay, good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Mr. Medina, on what side of the school is the boundary line for San Benito? Because the line for San Benito is right next to the school. If you're going west.
You're talking about school district zoning?
Well, whatever.
I'm not sure.
I mean, extraterritorial jurisdiction. Do we still have Riverbend in our...
in the city limits, yes, sir.
But they have presented a document where they want to desist?
Our attorney can address
Well,
that.
okay, because in reference to the school, they don't have sewer or water. They have a school there that have already overspent $10 million over the $60 million, okay? And they don't have any water or sewer. In this extraterritorial jurisdiction is going to cost the city of Brownsville or the PUB that wants to get all the way to reach to El Paso. We don't need to get over there anymore. We're already headed towards Portis de Bell. We're going to reach Corpus Christi before we know it. We need to stay small because you see, because you pointed, where is west there? Show me for west.
Well, this is west and north, south, east.
West is to the left here?
Yes, sir.
And Riverbend is down here?
This is Riverbend right here.
Okay, so Riverbend is pulling out of your extraterritorial jurisdiction.
They're inside the city limits.
No, they're inside the city limits.
They're not. Well, what
And
I'm trying to avoid is for us to continue building the infrastructure for the developer.
No, BISD is willing to pay to get the water line up there.
No more infrastructure. You know, there's we don't know if PUB is all the way to Villanueva. Okay. Of course, we had to help Mrs. Vela because that's where she has her lots for sale. And anyway, we're going this way, what do you think is the result of the riverbend? Are we going to be part of that area, Mr. Attorney?
I think public comment is for you to make comments, not to question city staff.
I'm asking you concerning, because I am not familiar of how far you have already dealt with riverbend. Have you reached an agreement with riverbend?
That matter is currently in litigation. I can't discuss it.
Well, because then we can't make a decision on that. You see, we cannot make a decision because, you know, we're tired of paying for the infrastructure of developers, okay? And no impact fees and things to that nature.
Okay.
So I
Thank you.
think that the best thing to do here is put this to rest because not even the school has water there or sewer. Maybe you can work with them or try to find out what the real information is, since Mr. Sashi cannot tell us what's going on.
Thank you,
He
Mr.
needs
Reese.
to have transparency, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody else? Can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close.
We have a motion to close by Commissioner Trang, second by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. This is an action item.
Move to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion to approve by Commissioner Trang, second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item 9, public hearing and action to adopt the October 1, 2009 to September 30th, 2010 consolidated plan budget for the city's housing and urban development entitlement grants.
This is a public hearing.
This is a public hearing, Mayor and City Commissioners. This is our annual entitlement grants from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. There's 3 grants, which is the CDBG, or the Community Development Block Grant money. We have the home, which is a housing component, and also the emergency shelter. Mr. Robert Medrano will review the projects with you in the allotments, and it will be a public hearing.
First, allow me to congratulate Beto being elected mayor of Rancho Viejo.
Oh, thank you very much.
Congratulations. And
Thank you very much.
so now how do I address you?
Tonight as planner.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. And
You belong now to the exclusive club.
thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This is the 35th year of the entitlement grant from HUD. The allocations this year for the city of Brownsville are CDBG 3.3 million. The home grant has 1.3 million, and the ESG, which is the emergency shelter grant, has $144,000. Under the social services category, the BCAC, which was charged with making a recommendation to this body, recommended $506,000, which is the maximum cap allowed by HUD regulation for social services. As you can see under the column entitled Amount Requested for 2009 and 2010, the requests were exceeded actually $1 million, so the committee had its work cut out this year. The following page entitled CDBG-Public Facilities, the committee is recommending to award to the engineering department for streets $1.3 million, under sidewalks $100,000, and under transitional housing $94,000. Following page, emergency shelter grant. Recommendation by the BCAC is to award the Friendship of Women $43,792. The Good Neighbor Settlement House $39,000 even, and the Ozanam Center $61,701. The final page, which is entitled the Home Grant, there are 3 projects that the BCAC is recommending. First one is a down payment assistance program, which the planning department has administered for the past few years very successfully. There you have a total allocation of $450,000. The home ownership reconstruction program, $601,000 and $641. And the final project that's being recommended here by the BCAC is the tenant-based rental program at $200,000. I'll take any questions if there's any
This
questions.
is a public hearing. Any questions?
I just want to make a real quick comment. Thank you to you and the committee's service. Truly, it's very time consuming and it takes away from you and your families. And I guess since you were running an election also. But thank you for your time and thank you to the committees. I know that the committee will probably be here next time. But thank you for your service. And I feel very confident, and through the distribution that I saw on my list, it was a very well thought out process. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
That is it.
Move to close.
Any questions?
I'll
Motion
second.
closed by Commissioner Terrani, second by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We have a motion approved by Commissioner Terriani.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 10, public comments. Do we have anybody in public
Public
comment?
comment, Mr. Fernando Reese.
Mr. Reese. Welcome to our chambers. None of us can respond.
Good afternoon,
Please,
Commissioner, Mayor, Melissa, Dr. Gowan, congratulations, Mr. Camarillo, congratulations. What's the sense of coming to these meetings? You know, are you familiar with what you're doing? You know, you overspent at the sports park $17 million, and you're trying to tell me that you're very intelligent persons. You're trying to demonstrate to me that you're very smart when you're spending our money, and we don't have any more money left because, you know, 17 million plus 10 is 27. By the time you get through paying for that, it's 44. Is this why you need to charge now for the people that go there? Well, you need to read 4A and 4B. This was financed through 4A and 4B, remember? When Dr. Zavaleta proposed this for $10 million. We have gone 17 million. Over. Do you owe us an explanation? Do you owe the people of Brownsville an explanation for going over $17 million? Or are we just going to laugh about it? You know, you don't know what you're doing sometimes. Mr. Izaguirre being in that committee that Mr. Gonzalez structured, it's a conflict of interest. You're an attorney, Mr. Turani. We need for you to
Sir, you
cooperate
cannot
here.
direct your comments to any commissioner. You need to
Okay,
address
fine.
the chair.
Well, from wherever, you get the point. Then, if we have all these minds together here, professional people now, yes, sir, we're getting rid of some. We're getting rid of some. And I told you that. But let me tell you, you're not doing your work. Because somebody has to be accountable for the 17 million. We have administrators making $150,000 a year. Are they worth it? You know how much is that a month? You know how much the people make here? And then you talk about taxes. We have all these dinosaurs here trying to tell me about taxes. You know what? They don't tell you the whole story. You only get the pennies because you never get in the auctions. They never buy the properties. You know why? There's too much taxes over. So they auction it again, and that's when they buy the properties. Properties that we should have kept to help the poor and the needy here in our community, in your districts, for example, Mr. Longoria, or whoever is over there in Southmost or wherever we have poor
Please
people.
do not address
These
any
people
commissioner.
that have the monies come and buy these properties for pennies. And that's what they give you is pennies when they're actually worth dollars. So you see, you have to be on top of all these things. You have to study. You have to make research. You see, all these things. Now we want to go 12.5 million more into debt. The only thing that I see correct there is the patrol cars. We don't need to go into debt anymore. It's just money and money. You don't have the tax base, not any longer. So what's going to happen to you? I talked with the state board today concerning bonds. You need to check into that. You need to check into 4A and 4B. See if what's going on here, if you can charge the people. Because those are our tax dollars. 0.0625 is what we charge for taxes. Anything over that is for 4A and 4B. We already paid, or we're going to be paying for the sports park. Now you want to charge us to go and use it when it belongs to us?
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. Anybody else? That's it? City Secretary, there's nobody else signing up? Okay, item 11? Can we take item 11 through 14?
Want me to read all of them?
Yeah, if it's okay with the commission. They're all consent items. Actually,
No, they're not related. They're all different issues.
They're all different, though, no?
Do y'all want one at a time? Okay, one at a time, go ahead. Go ahead, City Secretary, item 11.
Item 11, consideration and action to adopt a plan of finance regarding the issuance of approximately $12.5 million in certificates of obligation, which includes street improvements, vehicles, and equipment for various departments, and costs associated for landfill groundwater and surface water protection, and drainage plan that includes construction.
This is self-explanatory. Somebody want to make a motion?
No. I have a question.
I've got some questions,
Okay,
but after Mr.
let's
Longoria.
let him do the presentation. Go ahead.
Okay, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, we are in great need of certain capital expenditures. We have two choices. We can either borrow money or reduce our fund balance. We ended the year with a strong fund balance of $18 million, which is about 20% of reserves. Or if you want to look at days, we have about a 75-day reserve. That was at the end of the fiscal year 2008. We are, as we all know, going through some very difficult times right now. Our sales tax are not as we thought they were going to be. We're about 4.5% below what we were anticipating. We're looking at a sales tax revenue decline of about $2 million. We know that the bridge crossings at the bridge that we own, which is Veterans Bridge, is also down about 30-40%. So we know that we have a choice: either we draw down from the fund balance, or we go to market and borrow money. These are some of the capital expenditures that we were thinking of. The problem here with this large amount is that it's going to require a tax rate increase if we want to go with this. Some of you, way back in March of 2000 of this year, we had a reimbursement resolution for some of these expenditures that through the reimbursement resolution that you approved way back in March, allow us to borrow from the general fund to acquire some of these much needed capital expenditures. And one in particular is the police vehicles. If you read the paper this morning, those police vehicles have already been purchased. We were authorized to do these way back in March. One of the other items that are in great need right now is the landfill.
The last comment you made, you're saying that we authorized you to buy police vehicles in March based on an action item. And that correct?
On a reimbursement resolution, yes.
Okay. And at that time, you said the funding was in place.
I'm sorry?
At that time, my understanding was the funding was in place for the purchase.
With the understanding that we would issue some certificates of obligation, yes.
Okay. And so now you're saying that the funding is not in place and that we need to go out for this bond.
Well, the reimbursement resolution, and I have a copy of it, authorizes to go out and borrow from the general fund with the understanding that at a future date we were going to issue some certificates of obligation. And that's an action item that was made on March 3rd, 2009 of this year.
I remember that. Any other questions?
Anyway, what I'm saying here is that we're going to have to obviously decrease this much needed areas that we have here. We have ambulances. What are we going to do with the ambulances? We have some ambulances that are pretty soon are going to be running out of service, and the fire chief tells me that he needs these ambulances, which is talking about 3 ambulances.
Which I think, about 2 months ago we purchased or set aside funds for ambulances. I think it was probably in April. Is that correct?
Well, this is the reimbursement resolution that the City Commission approved for those. Not everything that is on that list is committed. We can certainly reduce it. And the top one that I can see that we have not obligated ourselves are the streets, street construction of $6 million.
Well, I guess my concern is that we've got the cart before the horse, and that we're approving expenditures before we've got the way to pay for it allocated or put in place.
Remember that a reimbursement resolution, which was approved by the City Commission, authorized us to start spending, borrowing money from the general fund. That was explained to you when this resolution, reimbursement resolution, was brought to you.
But Pete, I don't ever remember. Mayor, may I have the floor?
Wait a second. Let Commissioner Longoria's next.
That's fine.
You're allowed to speak twice on the issue according to Robert's rules. Okay? And I think, Mr. Commissioner Trini, you spoke several times already. So let somebody else.
What I'm saying is this. Obviously, we can reduce this amount because not everything is committed, and one of them is the street construction of $6 million. Now, if we reduce it to, let's say, $6 million, then our tax rate would probably be $1.50.
Well, I guess my concern is that, this isn't the only thing that you're going to ask for, and we're going to come up on our budget in September, and I'm sure that there's going to be a whole lot of other things that you're going to say that we're going to need, and it's probably going to come out that you're going to want to raise taxes a whole lot more than the 3 cents that are going to happen here to do this. And so I'd kind of like to see what the whole thing is going to look like and how much you really want to stick it to us for before we decide on that.
We are beginning our budget process. We have already instructed our department heads that we're going to go with a zero growth with the possibility of reductions in our budget as we go along, in order for us to make sure that we submit a balanced budget. But remember that the budget that we're presenting to you would be for the operations for years, and we have maintained, by the way, a tax rate. Actually, we reduced the tax rate several years ago. We had a 68 cents, and we reduced it to 65 cents.
Nobody remembers that.
Yeah. We were able to do this because of the growth in our tax base. Our tax base is not growing to the way it was in the previous years. So there was a reason why we could have reduced the tax rate, and we did, from 68.5 cents to 65 point something today. So we have done this without any major tax increases. We're in different times now. We want to continue with the street program and provide some of these expenses, and we're going to have to borrow money. And remember also, that's something we need to think about, is that we awarded some nice contracts to both the police and firefighters. And I stood right here and I said that by awarding some of this contract is going to require a tax increase. We were lucky during that time, because of the tax base growth, that we did not increase the tax rate. But some of those expenses are coming back at us now, because it is very expensive. Those two contracts were very expensive, and we're not through with the other collective bargaining contracts.
And I guess that's my whole concern is we're not through. And I'd like to have a full picture of how much you think that we're going to need. If what you're proposing here is a 3 cent, is that the total amount that you're going to be recommending when we hit September? Or are you going to say, well, no, we need something else? And that's kind of my concern.
Yeah. But what I'm presenting to you tonight is what the tax rate would be for the debt service rate. There are two component units. There's the general fund and there's the debt service rate.
I'd rather not slide it in, sit here and go, we're going to do this here, and then come back with another one. Let's look at the whole thing together.
Okay, we get the point. There's another commissioner that wants to ask some questions. Commissioner Longoria, that's first to be recognized.
Maybe I didn't question you. Maybe I didn't ask the question correctly. But I'll leave that in the past. In the future, if you're going to come to me and ask for me to give you to approve something, you know me. You know that for the last 6 years I've never voted for a tax increase. I would never have authorized anything or voted, at least myself. I would have voted in anything that would have requested a tax increase. Now, you mentioned we have contracts with civil service where they are in need, truly, of vehicles. We are in need of more police squad cars. We are. We are in need of more ambulances, no doubt, or fire trucks or pumpers. We do. But at the same time, when we come back in October or when we start the process this summer, we're going to start seeing that now 69% of our budget goes to public safety. This I realize. I know that this is happening. But yet, everybody else is left to suffer. 69% of the budget will continue to go to public safety. We will continue to buy vehicles, and everybody else will have to cut. We need to restructure. We need to relook. We need to refocus. But please, next time that we're going to make a major purchase, and we are going to be required for COs, out of courtesy at least, on my behalf, would you please remind me that in the future when I come back to you, this is going to come with a tax increase so that I can vote the way I need to vote to then. Because I would have, I'm sorry, maybe I was confused, maybe I didn't ask the right questions, but I would have never voted for anything had it come along with a 3-cent tax increase.
What we can do is we can go ahead and use some of the general fund balance for these expenditures. It's the only choice.
Can I continue on my... He answered, can I continue on my first?
Commissioner Longoria asked for.
That's the problem. I'm not blaming you. But to save us in the past, you have taken out of our savings account to balance the budget. That's your job. That's how you play with numbers. And you've saved this commission political heat by doing that in the past, and now it's catching up. So I understand where you're coming from. But we were safe at $6 million. I know you originally wanted 13. You cut a little and you came back, but originally we were only supposed to go out for $6 million. At $6 million, does that include a 3-cent increase?
We can cut this down, and it'll probably be a penny and a half.
Thank you.
Commissioner Camarillo.
So you're saying that even if it was cut to $6 million, then the rate increase would be a penny?
And a penny and a half for the debt service rate. And Commissioner Triani, we don't have the tax roll yet. We will have the tax roll probably by sometime in July.
In July?
Yeah. We know very well, though, that the tax roll is going to be going at around 2%, 3% versus the last year we had 4.5%.
Mm-hmm.
In previous years we were, at one time we were growing at double digits. This makes it very difficult for us. Either we start cutting, and cut now, and that's what we need to do.
Okay, Commissioner Atkinson, next floor.
Let me ask you something, Pete. And all these requests are coming from different departments, right? Right? All these requests. And
all of them are coming from.
Let me ask you something. Do you task them to look for grants before it, or is it always going to be, they're going to pick us up, we're going to get the general fund money? Is anybody in these departments applying for grants? And if so, I want to see them next time we show me where y'all are at in providing and looking for grants for police cars. I know there's grants out there for police cars. I know there's grants out there for ambulances. I know there's grants out there for a lot of these things that I see in there, but I don't think we're doing it. I want next meeting if we can, and I move to table this and see what grants these directors have put in for to save the city money.
I'll second that.
Mayor, let me
City Manager, do you want to add anything to this?
Some of these items that we're discussing have already been purchased. I think Commissioner Triani is right. Some of these things were purchased based on funding that came from reserve, and now we're requesting to borrow the money to put it back in reserve for next year's budget. So we can reduce that if you wish, to say that it came from our budget line items. I would say that we've already purchased the handler for the landfill and some of these equipment. To say that we're going to purchase 3 ambulances is incorrect, because we've already purchased the ambulances. So the way it's handled is that we borrow from reserve and then try to reimburse our budgets once we go out on bond. If you want to see how many grants and things like that, we're going to have to get together. It'll take a while, but working on grants is something we do every day. I mean, if someone has an idea about how to generate more funding through grants, we're welcome to hear it. We're working with stimulus packages right now, and everything possible to obtain funding through the stimulus. But we're doing everything we can to generate money. We've even come before the commission to try to generate more tire interest at the landfill, in hoping that we went through compliance issues at the landfill to be able to generate more tires and allow people to go and sell their tires, $1 a tire and things like that. So we're doing everything we can to generate funding. But I think really what we need to do is lower this $11 million to $6-7 million, so we don't have to face the issues of raising taxes, especially during this time. And I think we can do that.
So the choice is, some of this equipment was already purchased, either funded through the reserves or approved $6-7 million, so you reimburse the
and
reserves.
some of this equipment we already have in place. We've already purchased it.
Can we have a motion for $7 million?
Well, I think we've already got a motion on the floor to table for, and it's gotten a second, so I don't know if the vote's going to be on that first.
Okay. Can we have an amendment to the motion?
The only way I'd admit it is if we can have a workshop where Pete comes up with the numbers and explains where we are and what the second component of this is, because we're just talking about debt service right now.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Somebody want to withdraw the motion and make a motion to table, or
we've already got a motion on the floor to table.
Okay.
City Secretary, can you repeat the motion for me, please?
We don't have the actual motion, it's just that he moved motion to table, and Commissioner Troyani seconded.
I'm sorry, was it a motion to table? Yeah.
So we're going to table that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Can we have perhaps some material as to what is a priority, what you recommend, and then if there's a need for a workshop, then do a workshop.
Mayor,
we'll fine tune it, Mayor.
Could we maybe even, I'd hate to impose on people's schedules, but maybe a special meeting?
If it's needed, see what you think is best, Charlie.
Our next meeting is July 7th, so we have a big gap. If you wish to have a meeting earlier than that, we can work on something.
Thank you. Item 12.
Special meeting. Item 12, consideration and action to adopt resolution number 2009-041, authorizing publication of notice of intention to issue certificates of obligation not to exceed $12.5 million.
Do we have a motion to table that?
Motion to table.
Second.
We have a motion to table by Commissioner Atkinson, second by Commissioner Troyani. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 13.
Item 13, consideration and action to authorize the city manager to submit 2 selected projects to the United States Department of Energy for approval and funding by the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, on February 17th of this year, President Obama passed a stimulus funding. This is one of our programs from the U.S. Department of Energy. City staff had been working on various projects, but last Wednesday, the city manager introduced a priority, which is 2 projects. One is a methane collection system at the landfill, and the other one is retrofitting City Plaza, making it energy efficient. Those are the 2 projects that will be submitted. SES Engineering is preparing the application. I received a draft today. I haven't reviewed it, but we'll do that tomorrow. This application is due next week.
You haven't reviewed it?
No, sir. He just before the meeting, I printed it out. He just submitted it to me. But the projects are a methane collection system for the landfill, and basically what that is, and Mr. Torres from the Public Works Director can add some more information. what I've researched is that they drill wells on the hills of the landfill and collect methane gas. This is an eligible project under this grant. It's green gas emissions and capturing those and burning them. This is burning them with this flare, and possibly talking to the consultant last week, the city could be eligible to sell these carbon credits. It's complicated. I do not understand it, but maybe Mr. Carroll.
And what would the funds be? What would be the profits or the revenue generated by the carbon credits?
How much it would be?
Yes.
The engineer talked about $100,000 a year, of which $50,000 will be used for monitoring the wells and doing the work.
Okay, so then the net gain would be $50,000 because we have to pay the engineer $50,000 for monitoring and evaluating the burning of the methane?
That's correct. That was his estimate.
Are there other projects that would be generate more revenue?
Commissioner, understand that this is something that will eventually be mandated on us in the next few years. And if it is mandated and we don't do this voluntarily, then we have no hope of ever utilizing the landfill as to generate any funding at all, period, in this field.
Well, my concern isn't necessarily
And
the burning of the gas.
We don't know exactly how much money will be generated, and we don't know if the laws will change.
Okay, so then what do we know?
If we don't do this now, and we're mandated to do it in a few years, we may be talking $4 million to do this, depending on the cost.
Well, do we know what the price of the carbon credits are?
We will know for sure that we will be eligible to sell them if we voluntarily do this now.
Okay.
And this is what this grant is telling us, and what the energy people are telling us. Do it now, and you're eligible to be able to sell credits. And,
I guess my concern is that
engineers and everyone else will have to be involved to determine exactly how much. It could be $100,000. It could be $200,000 a year. It could be none if the laws change.
Well, it seems like it's pretty variable at this point. Right. And my concern is that if you're going to give half of it away to the engineering firm, and we haven't had any kind of idea of what the carbon credit's going to be, and all we know is
we're facing a deadline to submit this grant for this purpose. If we don't do it now, we're not going to be able to do it in the future. And
we're not going to be able to do it in the future?
Unless we are mandated to do it. And if we are mandated to do it, it's going to cost us probably more as years pass, and we're not eligible for any credits from any other resource, or we won't be able to sell them.
In other words, you're saying don't look at gift horse in the mouth. Where's this money go to?
Well, I mean, we haven't been told.
Where's this money go to?
What's that?
Where is this money going to?
What money?
This grant that you want. Item 14, right?
To do the landfill project. To do the flare that would capture the carbon before we get to the point that we are mandated to do so.
There's a cost estimate by this engineering firm, and it's $1.3 million. The grant is $1.689. The difference will be to retrofit City Plaza for being more energy efficient and save the city about $44,000 a year in electrical bills. We have also been studying, analyzing the Yelta Peace building and this building, also generating some cost savings. But this is...
Are we necessarily locked into the engineering firm? Can we find someone that can do it at a lower expense?
SCS is right now. They're under contract with our landfill. They're our engineering firm. They're in contract for 5 years, and they keep us in compliance with all the state regulations of environmental. So they're in a contract to help us out to design this type of that's their business.
Well, I guess my question is: are they locked in Are they locked in forever, as far as this contract or this service that they're going to be providing, as far as the methane gas, or is that up for bids? And can we go to see if there's somebody that provided at a lower price?
Right now, what they're proposing right now is to write the grant for us and do these design construction plans.
Okay, and that's going to cost us $50,000.
No.
How much is that going to cost us?
If it was 50,000, we'd have to bring it to the commission.
So it's 49.
No.
Do we know how much it is?
What are you getting at?
I just want to know what the
If we had
prices are.
If we had given them a 3-month period, it would have been maybe in the 20s.
Yes.
We gave them a week, 7 days to do this quickly. So we feel it's going to be well under 20,000. And that's all he's doing for now. If we can go out on RFQs or bids on the rest of the project.
This is with the Going Green resolution we passed here.
Yes, sir.
And we have a serious deadline in order to qualify for the stimulus package, which is very near right now. And they're supposed to be designed and ready to go turnkey and built by a certain date in order to qualify. So if we don't want this free money, we can vote it down. If we want it, we need to trust our department, our city manager, who's trying to find ways to conserve energy, which in the long run helps us in our utility bill, but also access the money from the stimulus package that is out there available that other communities are competing for. That's what you're saying.
I have a comment
Commissioner
or question,
Zamora,
please. If we don't do this now, can we expect a mandate, and when?
Well, it depends on the activity at the landfill. Obviously, the landfill is one of our biggest generating parts of the city we have. But obviously, it takes a lot to keep the landfill going. And we are obviously working with a lot of municipalities to bring their trash to our city to generate more funding to make up some of the shortfalls we're having with our budget. So obviously, we're talking maybe a 2 to 5 year period before this mandate will be imposed on us. We had a short window of opportunity to submit for this grant, and we had to identify the projects that we're going to utilize this funding for.
So if we wait 2 to 3 years.
We chose these 2 projects because we're estimating that the landfill and the flare at the landfill will cost us $1.3 million if we start the project today.
Right, but if we wait 2 to 3 years, there's a possibility where we cannot apply for a grant to recoup those funds to take care of this project.
Well, if it's imposed on us, number one, we'll hopefully try to. We don't know if we will, but also we won't be able to sell any of the. If we don't do it voluntarily, we won't be able to sell any of our.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Commissioner. Go ahead.
Commissioner Gowan.
I just want to make sure I understand. The grant will cover both projects, or just we have to choose one?
Both projects, ma'am.
Well, we're going to try to cover both, yes, and then we obviously through our professionals we try to identify certain buildings within the city that are in need of this kind of air conditioning upgrades and things like that, energy efficient locations. We have 3 or 4.
Which are sure cost savings. We know
right.
that. That's documented.
So we're looking at the City Plaza because that's the number one. The Tapiz building and this facility are the 3 areas that we need to look at.
I strongly recommend approval because the regs are going to get more stringent. It's going to be more difficult, and they're going to expect more out of us, and it's going to cost us money. Right now, we have the opportunity to get some free money from the federal government to do these things that will be most likely required of us in the future. So this is an opportunity. I think that the city manager has wisely presented before us, and I think it's a no-brainer for approval.
Mayor, may I have the floor?
Commissioner Camarillo.
My only concern, and again, I'm no genius in this area, but if we're going to try to extract these gas emissions to be able to power certain facilities, would that mean no? Okay, we're not powered. We're burning. Well, to do that, to burn, is that the same thing? In order to burn, would that mean you have to increase what goes into the landfill, or would that not even matter, considering what's currently there? That's one. And if it did require to grow the landfill, I mean, where are the cost savings, and why would we want to grow the landfill? And I guess my third option is, what's more cost effective, burning the gas or putting these, or putting the, what do you call it? Yeah, exactly, or at the landfill, and again, powering that. So I guess, do we have some sort of economic indicators that show this would be better than option B?
Well, I'm chairman of the task force that was appointed on May 5th, my name is Hilario Diaz, to look at the energy efficiency ordinances for the city of Brownsville. And as part of our charge, it was to review the programs that were going to be offered to use a $1.6 million grant. Now, it wasn't a short time frame because we knew about this over a month ago. The money came out and the announcements came out way over a month ago. So my concern is that on this landfill, I've yet to hear of any feasibility study that was done in order to come up with these figures. Secondly, the probability of saying we're going to get 100,000, we might not get 100,000. There's no data that backs up any of that situation. While on the other hand, we have had professionals come down through a program that we operate, and they did an audit of the Tapiz building and other buildings. And they came up with a report that said, if you do these things, you will save this much money. Now, in order to retrofit the Tapiz building, the City Hall, and City Plaza, it would take $674,000. The savings per year would be $75,700. So the investment would be paid off in 10 years, different time frames for each building, but the average would be 10 years. And then the savings would continue.
Or sooner if fuel prices go up.
Well, if the fuel prices go up, it could be, it could be later. But this was done. The audit was done. The people are professionals. There's Randy Benquifo, who's a professor of engineering at UTSA and the University of Texas at Austin, were part of this program. They also did an audit in Hidalgo County, and they're going to go do the same thing with their county courthouse. They're going to retrofit it because the savings is there. This is money that you're going to save. This is money you're not going to spend. On the other hand, there's other programs that have been proposed also by PUB to help people with HVACs, rebates, putting LEED lighting in their buildings. So these are things that were brought in to us to recommend for the 1.6 million. And to me, it's, you're just saying, well, we're going to do this, and I think we're going to do this, and I think we can get this, and if we don't do it now, we're not going to get it again. Well, that's not necessarily true, because anytime, this energy business is here to stay. This whole energy conservation is here to stay. This is not a one-shot deal that we're going to see go by the wayside in a couple of years. This is here to stay. This whole energy conservation, sustainability, it's something that's here. And we need to believe in that. And knowing full well that this might be mandated maybe 5 years from now, that there will be money available to do these kinds of things. So my recommendation to the council is that we look at this very closely and look at the savings that are here. I mean, this is a done deal.
Did you look at solar panels?
Wait, one at a time, Commissioner Camarillo.
Did you look at solar panels versus burning gas emissions per building and see what that looks like? How much would that cost? Because again, at one point when we get off the grid, and God willing that should be soon, if buildings would get off the grid and future subdivisions would get off the grid, that's generating. I mean, we can sell that back, but what does that look like? And like I said, I support the grant. It's something that we should move forward on. At the same time, I think, we need to be very, very proactive and look at what would those solar panels cost us for City Hall, City Plaza versus burning gas emissions.
What we're talking about here is not generating energy by solar panels. This is by retrofitting the buildings to where they're going to save energy.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think we need to look at generating revenues, and I think going green can have its generating revenues. And I think that's not just approach of saving, because we're going to have to cut back somewhere somehow.
Yeah.
But if we're able to grow, look at our landfill, sort out the landfill, sell what we need to sell, get rid of. Other cities, and I know they're doing it very well. And that's why I mentioned, what's better, burning gas, putting solar panels, and then be able to sell that energy again and try to make some additional revenue.
But you're not going to sell energy.
Wait a second. Let me point something out, because we do have a utility company that's looking at what he's saying. We looked at solar and we looked at wind. The future is in wind, and that's what we're looking at to invest. Now, here it has nothing to do with generation. It has to do with saving by being energy efficient. Okay, finding ways to cut back the consumption. So it has nothing to do with solar energy or wind energy or anything.
Well, I disagree.
And Mr. Diaz is the chairman of the task force appointed by this commission. The task force is composed of university professors, professionals in solar energy, wind energy, lay people, people that are interested in green building. The whole goal of this task force was to eventually develop ordinances that would bound new development to go green, to have energy components, and remain affordable. The City of Brownsville has a good rapport with the U.S. Department of Energy through our affordable housing program.
Did the task force make the recommendations for the retrofitting and for the landfill gas proposal, or was this something that was done by the city?
It was done by the city.
Okay, what were the task force recommendations?
Mr. Diaz, do you have that?
They can't just focus on one thing. They can't just focus on one thing.
Didn't get any information or any proposal about that, what this methane thing. What we recommend is the retrofitting the city buildings at a tune of $674,000. PUB wants $275,000 for some rebates, HVAC rebates, to get people, better air conditioning, which saves money, because 48% of the energy used in a home is through air conditioning. So that's a good thing. There's some money left over that could be used for other things.
Okay, but in the application, we have to say what those other things would be, right?
But if you do the methane thing, everything goes to the methane, and and one building, you're not saving anything. You're not saving anything. And the savings, if you start saving and it pays off itself in 5-10 years, those savings are going to continue as you go along. It's, excuse the language, a hell of an investment to me.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
One last thing. Ben, can anyone answer this? By burning more gas, does that mean you have to increase the size of the landfill? Does anyone know that?
Well, let me not answer that. I do not believe so, but that's not a definite answer. Okay? Maybe Mr. Santana can.
See, when trash actually generates this methane, and we got a lifespan of that landfill probably about another 40 years. So all this time we're generating this methane. Right now it's being let into an atmosphere, to our ozone. It's going into our
gas does not take space.
Yes. And once we get this this proposal that we're trying to do out there, we can actually burn this methane through this system, and it's going to help our ozone, and it's going to we can sell this carbon credits eventually, but right now we're just looking to put the system in place. The city won't have to pay any money out of pocket if we go with this, and we can generate plenty of of methane out of
You
that.
can't retrofit the buildings and get the gas as well, because you can only do one building and do the...
Yes,
the
sir.
burning.
That was our proposal from city management and my department.
But if you do the 3 buildings, then you'd have a savings of $75,000 or more or less each year, depending on, based on the...
Yes, sir.
That, right?
Yes, sir.
I just don't want to see, Mr. Torres, that we grow the landfill so that we can grow the gas, gain more
No.
gas. So that's
No.
that's where that
Yeah,
comes from.
we're creating a greenhouse effect at the
Yes,
landfill by
understand.
capturing or eliminating this carbon that's going into the atmosphere. Other people, if we do it voluntarily, other people can see that we qualify to be able to sell carbon credits.
Move to approve 14?
Second.
Thank you.
13.
Thank you.
We have a motion to approve item 13. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you. Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 14,
Item 14, consideration and action to authorize Mayor Patricio Ahumada Jr. to apply and accept an interlocal cooperative agreement for the 2009 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, application number 2009-G9648-TX-DJ between the City of Brownsville, Texas, Harlingen, Texas, and Cameron County in the amount of $172,936 for fiscal year 2010.
move to approve. We have a motion by Commissioner Atkinson, second by Commissioner Zamora. Any discussion?
We don't have to raise taxes, right?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 15,
16.
Item 16.
I'm sorry, 16.
Item 16, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of 10 heart monitor defibrillators for the City of Brownsville Fire and EMS Department.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have, is there any discussion?
Yes, I just wanted to say that this procurement involves grant money. So we're paying with grant money.
So they are applying for grants. That's a good deal.
No, we already applied for it. It's already in place. That's what we're going to purchase.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 17.
Item 17, consideration and action to award a contract for demolition of condemned dilapidated structures for the Planning and Building Inspections Department.
Staff recommendation is to award a contract for demolition of 10 condemned or dilapidated structures for the Planning and Building Inspections Department to Valley American Contractors of Brownsville, Texas, the low responsible bidder, for a total bid amount of $73,850. Completion time for demolition is 60 consecutive calendar days. Funding is in place.
For the record, how many structures?
10.
Thank you.
And I think the Building and Standards Committee had recommended like 17 structures, is that correct?
Those were the ones for the Army Corps of Engineers.
Excuse me?
Those were the ones for the Army Corps of Engineers that they
There
came
was
in.
that one, but then there's
This is a separate one.
I believe
This is a
there's
separate
more
one.
houses, but so far, this is what we have.
Okay, so you haven't gotten to the others yet.
Evaristo would be the one to... I have the Building Inspections Department and then Medina. They work together on this, for this demolition.
Good evening.
Commissioner, there's still other structures that have been ordered to be demolished. This is a partial list, so the first round, I believe we had 14, this is another 10, but there's still other buildings out there that need to be, that have already been ordered to be demolished, and the time has expired. We just need to prepare it as a bid after this, I would hope.
And is the committee still meeting, or have they?
They haven't met in over 2 months.
In over 2 months?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think one of their concerns was that there wasn't funds to demolish buildings that they were asking to be.
That was one of the concerns, is that the Building Standard Commission will order to be demolished, and as you know, they've got 30 days for the owner to demolish. If it doesn't happen, then the city is supposed to initiate the demolition. But the time lapse, we're continuously getting calls that why is it taking so long to demolish them if the time has expired? And one of the issues was the funding.
Okay. Well, you already moved to approve it, right? I'll second it. If you can get with me a little bit later, everybody, so we can get some funds to do the rest of them. Thanks.
Mr. Gaddis, how many homes do we still have? I mean, we're going to take care of so many. How many are left that aren't funded for yet?
Don't have that number in front of me, but I'm saying that we've got at least another 10.
Another 10?
And there's constantly calls of
Right.
additional structures that need to be looked at.
is there any chance that we'll have the National Guard like last time from Corpus? Did they? I mean, they did come to Brownsville. They did demolish some of our homes. Is there any chance of having that happen again, so that we could, be able to take care of those remaining 10 and, just try to make sure we keep up on this?
We will have to see, on that issue, we'd have to make, the last time we had that, we need some additional documentation. And that funding was hinged on the fact that we had to prove that there was some criminal activities at the locations.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. We have a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 19.
Number 18, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of one ICX tactical platform Sky Tower for the Brownsville Police Department.
Staff recommendation is to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of one ICX tactical platform or Sky Tower for the Brownsville Police Department. Two ICX tactical platforms on Forest Park in Georgia in the amount of $90,615. And this procurement reflects GSA contract pricing. Funding is in place. It's forfeiture funds.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion, second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
We have one more.
We have one more item,
There's one
Mayor.
more item.
Next item.
Item 19, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase, delivery, and installation of a light structure green system for the Brownsville Sports Park Complex volleyball area.
Staff recommendation is to award a contract for the purchase, delivery, and installation of light structure green system for the Brownsville Sports Park for the volleyball area to Moscow Sports Lighting of Round Rock, Texas, in the amount of $86,273. Deliver and install. This will be completed within 60 consecutive calendar days. Funding is in place by the BCIC, which will be reimbursed 100% to the City of Brownsville.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion second, motion by Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Longoria. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed,
I'd like to say
motion
something real
carries.
quick. I'd like to wish Melissa Zamora happy birthday. Today's her birthday, and I'd like
Happy
to
birthday,
wish her a
Commissioner.
happy birthday. She just turned 22.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, can stay. Thank you.